Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Brawling Dragon Tavern. Please, come on in, have a seat, share a pint. We're doing a simple Q&A. It'll be a shorter than usual session. As always, please check out our artist, Rachel Loffman. We have her details linked below. And now, on to the fun.
Alrighty. So, let's start out with introductions. Starting there on my left, that is Tom. Tom, tell us about yourself.
Oh, I'm the guy who lucked out, got to play Mongo. You've probably seen the artwork. Best one yet. I know you two respectfully disagree with me, but I'm right.
No, there's no respectful disagreement there.
He is a pretty cool character, though.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to play.
No, we're there.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was on. Thought I turned it off. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. Head full of pop culture reference and a heart full of dad jokes, so been playing for a few years. Yeah.
Playing for a few years.
Hi, name is Manny. Most people know me as Manuel. I am the voice of Scavard, the Kobold, Gemstone Kobold. Been playing tabletops for a while, actually. Started off in high school. Actually started off with Pathfinder before I jumped into D&D. So, yeah, it's actually big change there, but it is a lot of fun. If you've never messed around with D&D before and you're just watching us, give it a try. I think you might actually like it quite a bit. And Scavard is basically just pretty much who I do the voice of. Honestly, it's a lot of fun getting into his character. Kind of an extension of who I am, kind of. And, yeah. Not much else to really say at the moment. Let's go ahead and take it away there.
Right. My name is Nathan. I play the psychopathic little mouse that builds stuff. Pyromaniac. He's definitely going down that right for sure. I can just see it now. He's just catching everything on fire or blowing it up, one of the two.
Bit of a mad scientist.
Yeah, mad scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Won't get into too much details, just an introduction for ourselves right now. We have several questions that we've pulled from feedback from fellows and friends and followers, and some things that we figured that you might want to hear from us. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of that stuff. So, if you'll bear with me here while I bring up our pre-generated little list. Well, actually, do one of you have the list up real quick?
I got it right here, actually.
What's the first one on our list?
Well, how does everyone know each other, or how long have you been friends?
Oh.
A few years now, actually.
Yeah, it's been kind of a while now. Be entirely honest, until I met Nate and I've never played any RPGs at all, unless you want to count like a couple of Final Fantasies here and there. A couple of my friends, we were all working together at one job. One of my oldest and dearest friends got me the job, introduced me to Nate and Mai, and at some point in time they all just decided, hey, why don't we get a game going? They offered to bring me along. That first character creation night was one of the most terrifying experiences of my entire life. The only reason why Bob was a half-orc is because once Nate stopped and asked me, so what race would you like to play? That was the last one mentioned and the only one I can fucking remember. So I said, that one. It actually wasn't until Mai's brother came along and... Dude's hysterical. Went on some story tangent, put me in tears, and from then on it was just kind of one little small riot after another. And God, I don't think I've actually played a game without the two of them, and eventually a bunch of other people came in, including this guy.
This agent of chaos here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Fun fact, I actually met Kelly long before I met anyone else here. And that was quite a long time ago, actually. But no, started off originally with Kelly. It's back when in her game when she was a DM, and from there just picked it up. Met a couple other awesome people over time, and over the years, I got to meet these two goobers here. Really awesome friends, though. One of them tells really amazingly horrible, really bad dad jokes. The other one can be a little bit analytical sometimes, but that's what gives them their unique charm, though. Everyone here has their own unique little quirks. I just happen to be a little bit crazy.
Just a little bit
That's
crazy?
cute. You want to use the word little there.
Oh, piss off. But no, I've actually known them for a bit of a while now. Actually, each of us has actually been good friends for the better part of several years now. Actually.
What was the question? I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Sorry.
How does everybody know
world
each
of
other?
chaos here.
So how does everybody know each other, or how long have you been friends?
Okay. So yeah. Known Tom there for good 8 years now or so.
God, it's been that
Yeah.
long.
It's about 8 years or so. Yeah. Yeah. So we were working at the same location, and through our DM, and who was working with us at the same time there, and a mutual friend with Tom because they worked in the same department. I worked in IT. That's what I do. I'm a geek. So, met Tom through there, and we ended up just hanging out every once in a while, lunches or whatever. Decided to convince him to play RPGs, and brought him onto the table.
Yeah, the only thing that you neglected to mention was how far down that rabbit hole goes.
Do you want to elaborate on that rabbit hole?
I refuse to look at my bank statement as far as D&D books and dice go.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been fully brought into the fold.
Yeah.
With regards to that.
Yeah, it didn't take long. Because like, oh, okay, I'm going to play the game. I might as well buy the book. And then one book led to another. It's like, okay, I need a set of dice. Okay, these ones work.
Now I need
Oh,
more.
I forgot mine. I got to borrow somebody else's. Oh, these are entirely different.
I like these. I'm going to buy a set just like them.
Oh yeah, no. The dangers of D&D. You become a dice goblin
Oh, yeah.
and a book hoarder.
So
I've calmed down about the dice, though. I haven't bought in too much.
it comes and goes in
Yeah.
spurts. You're like,
Yeah.
I want these dice. I'm going to get these dice. I don't need them. I want them.
I have become way pickier about my
Yeah.
dice.
This is
Yeah.
true, actually.
Actually, it's because of our artist. She sent me a link to one set of dice. And after that, it's just like every other set that I saw is just like, they're just not as pretty.
Yeah.
And since then, I've only bought one other set, and that's the set that I specifically and will only use for Mongo.
That's funny. So as far as like other folks, my and I were neighbors. She started feeding me. Things went from there, and we've been there for about 10, 11 years, 12 years now, something like that. Let's see, who could we bring in next? Kelly. We knew through other circles of friends, mostly on my side of on her friendship circle there. Brought Kelly in to play D&D, and then they into California. So, so now we just have the pleasure of playing with Kelly over comms. Unfortunately, Kelly can't be here today, so it's just the three of us. Kelly was going to be with us, but something came up, couldn't do it. Let's see, who else do we want to bring in on the subject matter? Hillary, right? Yeah, of course.
Hillary, of course.
Hillary or
Cayenne.
Cayenne, yeah. She is effectively my sister-in-law. Excuse me. And we have Chad, who is our community manager. Again, Hillary and Chad we know through other friend circles and brought them into the fold. And then we have our friend Doug, who is running our AV stuff. He's the guy behind the camera. So
the whole reason you can hear us
and see us.
He's damn good at it too.
And that's all the close to the vest folks. We have other folks that we work with to help us with other things. So
it's pretty much, hey, we need somebody who can do this. I know a friend of mine.
Yeah, more or less, actually.
That's what it boils down to. We do a lot of bringing friends into this craziness that we do.
Shall we hop on to the next question?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, how does your character differ from you, the actual player?
Not exactly stepping up with softballs, are you? That's got to be the hardest question.
No,
really?
Honestly, it honestly
I
kind
don't
of
know if that's
because
the hardest
every
one.
single one of my characters is basically an extension of me.
Well, okay. So would Tom go into a cave with no spelunking equipment, training gear, comrades that know what they're doing, whereas Mongo or any of your characters have?
If I could do even a fraction of the things that my characters could do, I promise you my life would be extremely different. No, ever since that one day at work, I'm trying to put stuff, arrange it here and there. One thing falls, all of a sudden it just kind of cascades. The whole thing is falling. And all I could think was just to yell in my own head, "Damn it, why can't I magic this?" And then start going through a list of all the varying spells. And if I could do those in real life, yes, going into a cave to help my family would totally be something I would do.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't. So I'd probably try to talk my family out of not going into the cave.
Instead of going with your family,
yes.
You talked about it. Look, that we just can't do this.
No, this is a bad idea. We could fall and get a stalactite through the fucking leg. Oh, wait. Or we could trip on all sorts of kind of obsidian.
So you're saying your characters are way more brave. Than
God, yes. Every single one of them, from
that's
my Kobold Wizard 5s in Manny's campaign. I love that little fucker.
We gotta get back to that at some point.
My Treant Druid Doomtree. All of them are some kind of extension of me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's character is in some way an extension of you. Even if you are being very intent on trying to be very different than what you are for your character, how your character is going to react to things is formulated by how you think.
Yeah.
So.
So like Mongo, there are occasionally times where that inner performer gets to shine through, where in most times I will probably just stay quiet in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to say that probably the biggest difference between my characters and myself is what's the word I'm looking for? Spontaneity, I guess. My characters will just do stuff without really thinking about anything, or without contemplating, perhaps there's a better thing to do or a better way to do it, kind of thing. So yeah, I think my characters are more spontaneous than myself. Yeah, I'll go do crazy stuff with friends and family, or even just by myself to just go do crazy stuff. But it's hardly ever like, let's just go do it without like planning ahead of time what we're going to bring, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
Insanity.
I guess so. You have something there for us, Manny?
Sure. Actually, a lot of my characters that I play, Scav especially, are actually more or less extensions of my different parts of my personality in some way, shape, or form. For instance, Argo, the Dark Elf for your campaign. More or less the more chaotic nature of myself, honestly. But Scav is a total polar opposite. He's the more inquisitive, more curious, more adventurous side. The type that doesn't really know where he sits in the world, but wants to know more and is out there to try and basically discover more about himself. And that's kind of how I am sometimes. I don't really know where I am, what I'm doing. All I know is that, hey, here we go. This is my goal. Let's just run with it and see what happens. Who knows? Let chaos take reins for a second.
Yeah, no. If you let the chaos reign too much, Cayenne will kill Scav.
This is also true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I'm basically every character that I have is more or less a slight extension of me. But I will say, Scav was a bit of a pain in the ass to work with at first. That's for later.
Oh, dude,
you had the hardest time with finding your character for Scav. It's crazy.
Never have I seen. We've been playing for years together. Never once have I seen you struggle. Anybody even mentions the fact that they're thinking about doing a campaign, he's got a character together in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, I can come up with a character and ready to go on the fly within like 5 to 10 minutes and have it ready to go that night. But for some reason,
the struggle.
Still don't know why. I struggled for like 2 months trying to figure out Scav. What do I do?
Like
Where am I going?
Talk to you, it's like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. It's like, I've never seen you that indecisive. To be entirely honest, I've never seen you that indecisive about fucking anything.
Yeah, no, you typically, if something pops up, it's like, all right, here's what we're doing, let's go.
Yeah.
That didn't happen with Scav. For some reason, I struggled so much to find this character, to find the person out, to find the voice alone, and even then, it's still a struggle to get that voice consistent. Like, this is my normal voice right here. Normally I do Scav like this more quiet, toned down voice. But sometimes this breaks because even though I have this kind of set, I still can't get it down to like exactly there. It's really weird. I've never struggled so much with a character before. And I think it's because it really does come down to Scav is kind of a lot like myself. And in a lot of ways, that's both really great and not so great.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense because there's one character that I have that I always had a hard time playing. I kind of struggled through a lot of those sessions, and it's the one that, if I had to pick one of the varying characters that I have, that's probably the one that's most like me. And it's just like, oh, that's the hardest one to play.
Yeah.
Which is so counterintuitive. You'd think, oh, okay, I'm just being me.
Well, I think
that's the easiest one.
I think the reason why it's so difficult is because when you're playing a character that's a lot like yourself, you start to see all of your own personal faults in that character, and you start to kind of not like that so much.
Getting super analytical there, buddy.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be casual, man. We're not like trying to psychoanalyze each other there.
Well, it's a Q&A. The whole point to him is trying to get to know people. So
honestly, he's not wrong this time.
Wow.
Sorry, I have to make a jab there every now and then.
I was gonna say the same thing if roles reversed.
But yeah, no, honestly, Scav is probably the most difficult character I've ever had to work with, but I'm having so much fun with him now that I'm like starting to figure him out. And now that I'm coming to terms with like, hey, this is a lot kind of how I am in a lot of ways. I've kind of noticed this in myself too. Is like the more I work with Scav, the more it's kind of like I'm working with myself as well at the same time, and I kind of like that. And I think that's what's really helped out a lot with figuring out Scav. Scavert is really he's a character, all right.
Yeah. No, that's actually the more I started getting into D&D, you eventually watch stuff, you hear stuff, you hear everybody's got 101 stories. Yeah. Everybody does. You're gonna hear some of ours tonight.
Oh yeah.
But some of the best stories and the ones that I honestly love the most are the ones where people actually kind of get to grow themselves, not just their characters.
Yeah.
But here's some people who have either crippling social issues or just anything that kind of ruined their life to a certain extent. And through just playing more or less a simple game, they kind of get to take care of it and better themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the beauty of the game is... and which is actually kind of also a funny thing is like part of the beauty of the game is typically you're all just a bunch of friends, and you're making fools of yourselves and each other, and it's okay because you're a bunch of friends. But what's funny is like when we started that we were going to do this, we were all like trying to figure out like voices and stuff like that, and it's like, why is it so difficult for some of us, especially me? Though I understand it, so I think I've solved that problem. But at first, it's interesting that although we have that mentality, we're friends, so we can make fools of ourselves. It's so much harder to do a voice because you're making even more of a fool of yourself.
Yeah, no, that's something you struggled with.
Yeah, but right now, the only thing, I mean, I think I can get over that if I can figure out how to talk like someone else without having to think about it so much, because that's the problem I have having with Nikolai is I can't really bring out his soft accent that I have as a headcanon for him, because that would require me to think and speak differently than what I do. So it makes it very difficult for me to remember that when I say this word, when I want to say this word, I need to say it with this a different way or use a different word for that, because not only am I working on the fly to figure out how my character would react, I'm now also working on the fly to change how I speak. So that's my biggest problem I have with any type of voice acting. But, Tom brought up a good point that apparently I am actually kind of pretty good at voice acting because I'm able to bring out emotions and inflections with just using my regular voice. You mentioned
Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, Warburton. I
the
can think
great Patrick Warburton. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he
talented,
doesn't have a voice. He doesn't do voices. He just is Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, you hear his voice. You know it's him.
Yeah.
But when he goes to say anything, you feel the emotion that he's trying to represent.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of talent there that he's able to bring out that just seems a little bit too natural sometimes.
Almost. Which, by the way, one of my favorite characters, Kronk. I have no joke. The temptation to play a Kronk-like character is super fucking tempting. So if anything happens to Mongo, I may be going full Kronk.
What exactly would be the character class of Kronk?
I don't know.
But I would paladin. A paladin of the crown?
Maybe.
Well, let's see. Jump into the next question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's kind of segueing based off of what we just went off of, but how did everyone get into D&D and tabletop gaming, and what is something you've learned and taken away from the table into real life?
Can we get some easy questions here?
No.
Like, hey, what's your favorite dice or something?
Oh, I think we do have. I think
that
we do
is
have
a
some of
question
those.
at some point. But to be honest, though, there is actually a lot you can take away from tabletop gaming in general. There is a surprisingly large number of things that you can actually pick up from getting into tabletop gaming. For one, the improv in general. Improvisation, yes, but also the improv in general altogether. Extremely useful. The ability to figure out really strange problems, which are extremely unlikely to happen, but coming up with creative solutions helps out a lot too. That you can learn how to kind of work with that.
Look,
as well.
I think Mongo came up with a very creative solution on here how to deal with the bullet.
You made a
kamikaze.
Yes.
A kamikaze.
Kamikaze.
You made
That
a
is
cow
the-
bomb,
That is
which
the
is
official
insane.
name for it.
Technically, he made it.
Hey, it was
But-
my idea. He
It
never
was
would have
his
done
idea.
that if it weren't for Mongo.
Nikolai embraced the chaos and went for it.
I
But
just came up with the idea. Hey, why don't we try this?
yeah,
Nikolai just said, "Oh, hold my beer or hold my cheese.
Hold my cheese.
I can do that."
I can totally do this.
in general, though, there's actually a lot you can take away from tabletop gaming as a whole, and it doesn't necessarily just stop at D&D. There's a lot of other systems out there where you can actually take away a lot of really important lessons too. Actually, for instance, the Call of Cthulhu game we run every now and then. A lot
That
of
is
problem solving there.
madness.
I'm pretty sure you can come up with like a lot of examples.
Yeah, one of the biggest problem solvings in Call of Cthulhu is how do you build a character fast?
Yeah. There's no such thing as building a character fast in that game.
No, 1 second you walk through the door, next thing you know, oh, new character time.
Yeah, no, we literally had a buddy of ours once.
Oh, God.
Total segue. We started the game that night. We're a few sessions in. He starts that night's session. His character dies in, 5 minutes?
Something like that, yeah.
And then he spent, most of the rest of the session building another character. Gets in. 5 minutes later, he's right back out.
Making another character.
Making another character.
It's okay.
Because he died again.
That's fine. It's nowhere
It's
near as
great.
fast as my gnome.
Oh, God.
Your halfling.
Was it a halfling or I don't know. I don't remember.
That's
He-
how fast his character
He
died.
lived for 5 words. Hi. How are you doing? Boom!
That's what you get for sneaking up on dangerous characters.
Well then, I guess I'm making a new one now. I've never laughed that hard in such a long time.
It was nuts,
But
for sure.
The positive thing is you got Argo out of it.
Yes, Argo was definitely the greatest part. That poor bastard. You guys tortured him so much.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. You tortured him
I forgot
upon
about
meeting
that
him. It was horrible, but funny as hell. But horrible at the same time.
But you got possibly the cure for lycanthropy out of it. You can't be that
Yeah,
bad.
it's true. It's true. You can never,
Possibly, we don't know for sure.
you probably
We have not
could never
tested
turn
this.
into a werewolf.
Silver coin stuck in the liver.
Kidney.
It was yeah, that's right, it was the kidney. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some stories
Personally,
tonight.
something I got out of D&D is for my day job, it requires me to go all over the place and just talk to random people.
Okay.
Hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Oh, okay.
Playing D&D with all the varying people that we've had in and all the random ass NPCs that our DMs have come up with, especially you two. Now,
Well, you don't like Profundagast, huh?
Didn't like Urza that much, did you?
I can't even keep track of half of the names you come up with. And okay, seriously, what the hell is with DMs and coming up with names that are damn near unpronounceable?
I do not apologize.
I know you don't.
Yep.
But
You can't apologize there.
now with my job, I don't give a fuck. I'll walk up to any rando. Hey, I need to talk to somebody who can do this. They're over there. Cool. Thank you. Go start talking to that person. And I'll start talking to them like I've known them for months. And I've never even seen or heard of them. Nothing.
First time you met
You
him.
know,
First time
It's
I've
not bad,
ever
yeah.
come across them.
I have noticed that.
We get somebody new at the table. Cool, new friend.
One of the biggest things I picked up off of D&D that's extremely useful, reading people's personalities just by talking to them for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Short amount of time speaking with someone, I can usually pretty accurately figure out what type of personality type they are. Are you a timid type? Are you someone that's more talkative? Are you someone that doesn't really like talking much at all? Are you someone that's a little bit crazy? Are you someone that's a little bit more calm, relaxed, analytical? When you play in a game with people that are DMs, such as this one here, or our amazing DM Mai, you tend to learn some really crazy little things here and there that help out a lot. And being able to pick up on personality types, extremely helpful when you're trying to start conversations with people or figure out some important stuff from people you don't usually talk to.
This question is actually a hard one for me. Biggest thing I've picked up because of playing D&D, is that the base of the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something is useful that you've learned to apply to the real world.
Wow, that one is really tough for me. I've been sitting there thinking about it the whole time. Apply for the rest of the world. I don't know. I guess I'd have to go with my DM roots. And it's listening to people, I guess. I try to, despite other people's, protesting, I try to get an idea of what my players like, what my players would be most interested in playing in the next game or whatever. So that's allows me or helps facilitate me listening to people to have a better understanding of what they need from me. I work in IT. I do system administration, so I have to listen to people. I have to understand what their problems are, so I can help them figure out how to solve the problem, or help figure out what the problem is, so I can solve it for them. So that requires a lot of listening. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I've taken from playing D&D as far as a DM, is trying to listen to people more often, to find out what they're most interested in, to use that information to work on solving the problem that they're coming to me for.
There is one other rather odd thing that I've picked up from D&D that is, well, once I realized that a lot of my characters are all the same, just kind of copy and paste personality, which actually their story Nate really got me to realize this. I then tried to change it up. And as a consequence, I started doing varying voices and such as Mongo's, which happens a little too easily, if I'm honest.
Right now.
Dude, sometimes it comes out without you even realizing it.
Oh, when I am at work and I am trying to be, make a point and being serious, and all of a sudden, either Mongo's voice, or if something's going wrong, I start sounding like I'm fucking Scottish or something. That's one way that you can tell them getting really fucking irritated. So I can keep switching between Scottish and Irish, or some bastard mix of the two. Just the random fucking accents that come out. I've got a couple of coworkers that do actually have accents.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where it is difficult to talk to them. Not because of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to start adopting that accent. And I'm fairly certain that's not going to go over well.
It depends on how good you do it. But, yeah. Not exactly the greatest thing.
So there are sometimes, that's kind of one of the other takeaways. Is, you can work through all of your issues, but you might wind up sounding like you have 100 different personalities.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that with myself as well, actually, especially back when I worked at the warehouse. When I was working alone, every now and then I'd catch myself making some really weird accents or voices, or I'll talk to, even now when I'm working at the shop, actually, especially when I'm at the shop with certain people, I'll catch myself suddenly going into one of my characters. I've caught myself doing it with Argo. Once with Shuja's voice, actually, and a couple times with Scav. Yeah. And it happens entirely on accident, especially with the one, these two can't stand it, but there's a very particular voice that I can do consistently for hours on end. It's obnoxious, consistent, and great. I'm not doing it now. I'm saving that for another time. Maybe a future character, but
that character's gonna die quick.
But
see if we can make it quicker than 5 words this time.
But no, that is one thing you might notice if you try to really get into the improv side of it all. You'll notice you'll start having a little slight like shift in tone and voice and such, and it happens entirely on accident.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
Not everyone. Some of us who are clearly not sane.
Yeah, more or less.
Kinda, yeah.
Next question.
Ready for the next one? Okay.
Yep.
So the next one is, what is your favorite class to play, and why did you play it, or did you not play it? Also, what is your least favorite class? All right. Well, since I haven't opened up before, I'll open up now. Now that I've got the tech stuff kind of like normal.
That is a good question. What is your favorite class? I don't think you've ever
we all know mine. We all know Manny's.
I think my favorite class is probably Cleric.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
The more you know.
I've always enjoyed playing Clerics.
I've never seen you play a Cleric yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I'm like trying to, expand my horizons and stuff,
Oh, no.
Improve myself. Be a better player. No, it just doesn't really fit in the situation that I've played in recently. So
Fair enough.
But and another reason why I think clerics are along the lines of my favorite is it's an unfortunate, I guess, metagaming mentality. They are by far the most versatile class in the game.
I respectfully disagree with you. But...
And you can do anything as a cleric. You can be an arcanist, casting spells like freaking any wizard or sorcerer.
He's got a point.
And if you run out of spells, well, you can just get in there and get dirty with everybody else.
No, he actually is right.
You really can't do that with any other player, or any other class. Any other class is way more towards melee or way more towards magic than the cleric. The cleric is really kind of like the great perfect, funnel of magic and melee. So or combat. So that's one reason why I've kind of moved away from it recently in the characters that I've played, is because it's kind of a stagnation. Because I can do everything, so I do everything. Whereas with all the other characters I play, they have strong limitations in what that you guys seen me play. They have strong limitations in what their repertoire allows them to do. So yeah, I'd say probably. But outside of that, I think probably my favorite class. My favorite class that I've played where I've really tried to get into the making myself better kind of thing, it's probably been the wizard, actually, because I went just full bore on playing a wizard within the restrictions of the wizard by restricting myself even more. The most fun I've had with playing any other character was a halfling wizard that I had. And I literally, he was a gnome wizard that I had. And I literally restricted his spell repertoire to enchantment, charm, and illusion spells. Oh, and transmutation spells. Literally absolutely nothing else. If it wasn't enchantment, charm, illusion, or transmutation, I didn't have the spell. And it forces you to think so far outside of the box on how to get stuff done. That
because you just took out evocation and abjuration, which, let's be honest, that's
kind of
a lot of the
bread and butter.
trademark wizard spells are from those two.
Yeah. Well, and divination and
necromancy.
So
that's another really
basically
one.
using for ignoring 3, essentially. So.
Yeah. So like shield, fireball, and identify, which is like the 3 spells you have to have.
Yeah, and it was the most
just like,
fun to be this wizard, and not being a wizard. It was coming up with so much crazy fucking shit to figure stuff out. Like, I didn't have, my character, the biggest thing is my character was trying to direct someone else, some other character or NPC or something by following them or them following him. And of course, he doesn't have any type of communication like messaging or sending because he doesn't have access to this. So I was like, okay, so Wizard Mark. I think it was Wizard Mark. So I would literally just write down on rocks and trees using Wizard Mark and make it only available so that person can see it, kind of thing. And there it is. It's like a relatively almost useless spell became incredibly useful. Because it's like I was able to communicate, go left, not right, go forward, 30 feet or something, then turn left, without being there and without, normal functionalities. It was a lot of fun. My least favorite class. Oof. I'm thinking that would probably have to be the Warlock. And that's probably mostly due to the metagame of the Warlock. What's the stupid spell called? Actually. The bolt that they fire?
Eldritch Blast?
Eldritch Blast, yeah. There's so much hinged on how effective a Warlock can be because of one spell. Granted, I know 100% there's so much more that a Warlock can do, but when you look at that and you look at all the other things, it's like, why bother, kind of thing.
Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree on that.
But I did have fun playing in one of my one-off games where I played a human variant with the Djinn as a Warlock patron.
Back to the Djinn.
Back to the Djinn. And it's like, I just played like he didn't know he was a freaking Warlock. Like, shit just happened. Weird shit just happened. Like, so I arranged with Mai to, like, if I say this, like, for instance, the invisibility function, I want to get there unseen. Just kind of like thinking out my mind that's what I want to go do this unseen or get there without anybody seeing me or something like that. It was a key word for her to know that my patron is understanding that I want to be invisible. He doesn't know he's becoming invisible. So I did that with all my spells. I had like keywords like, if I say this, I'm casting this spell. But it's my patron casting the spell. Not me, because he doesn't know he can do this. So that was a lot of fun. Though I think simply because of some of the broken mechanics, I think the Warlock is my least favorite. Though, granted, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. I just haven't played it a lot. So.
Well, it's ironic you mention that, because my favorite actually happens to be the Warlock.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I do agree 100% with you. A lot. And I mean, if you actually sit down and take a look at it, the Warlock class very heavily is extremely reliant on the one spell, and that's Eldritch Blast. Matter of fact, if you open up the book and take a look right now, if you have a book, I guarantee you more than half of the Eldritch invocations you can get are all centered around Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, it's like...
And it really is unfortunate, because once you start to try and kind of like fix this class in certain ways and try and make it so that way it's like it's no longer centered around that, you effectively break the class and it's now unplayable. But there are some people out there that have found really creative ways to fix that. RDM and General Mai, really creative fix for this, and it kind of makes it really interesting. But yes, no, Warlocks are actually one of my personal favorite. It's not so much just like the power behind it, but more so the idea that you're just this regular, simple person that either happens to come in contact with some almighty, powerful being beyond normal comprehension, that you are either granted power or you take that power from, and essentially allows you to become something even more than what you already are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into it. You don't necessarily have to be like... The whole stigma behind Warlocks is they're all evil, they're all crazy, they're all dastardly. It's not true. You can actually play a Warlock whose patron happens to be a deity that's benevolent, or a fae that's just a little bit of a trickster but happens to be somewhat good, or a being that not necessarily evil, just wants more knowledge.
That is the biggest thing, is like everybody that plays a Warlock just plays this emo, fucked up motherfucker that doesn't care about anybody or anything, they're packed with this elder being or whatever. It's like there's so many more ways to play a Warlock. That's why I played the Djinn. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no. I mean, take a look at Bellum, for instance. Yes, he was a Warlock. He was also a monk. He wanted his power so he can further his knowledge and use that knowledge to amplify his patron, which was the 10 Towers, which is all about knowledge and power. He just wanted to learn more. And that was the whole thing behind him. Now, yeah, no, I totally understand. I mean, he did go through your book.
Real quick, before we get too far, I forgot a point on why we did not play it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Favorite character. Oh. So the reason why I picked the Artificer is because, well, I've never played an Artificer before, and I thought it would, and I wanted to play a completely unique character, one of my homebrewed creations, the Moon Mice. So I don't know what level of information needs to be shared with them yet, but I think probably going to keep them kind of under the wraps right now. And I thought, this little like fat-headed, giant-eared mouse type character would be so awesome, playing this guy that just like makes stuff, and the stuff that he makes is because he's so small, kind of thing, and he wants to try to help his family and his friends and be useful instead of just this little guy following around doing little remedial tasks that no one else wants to do.
Freaking awesome, and I hope
or at least like a flying version of it would be pretty cool.
Like that, yeah.
I can totally see. Yeah,
that's why I decided to play the Artificer, because I thought the Artificer and this little tiny mouse was like a fantastic combination. It brought to mind the Pinky and the Brain, where the Brain made that little human robot, and he just had his head sticking out just above.
Did I send you a picture
shoulders
of that once you told me what you were playing?
I think so, actually.
Because it's like that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm going to build something to do all this. Like,
I distinctly remember you sending that, and we all saw it.
And I said, yeah, sort of. Yeah. So yeah, that's why. But yeah, so back to you. Sorry to.
Oh no, not a problem at all. Honestly, that is actually kind of important. So yeah, Warlock, favorite class. A lot of reasons behind it. Main reason why I didn't play it, to bring home that point, playing a Warlock is kind of metagamey. It does require you to kind of reach into the books and pull some stuff out that your character wouldn't normally know. There's a lot of ways to get around that, but not really at the same time. My least favorite class, Paladin. Mostly from my time with other tabletop systems. Not so much with D&D 5e. I would totally give it a chance. It just comes down to the whole stigma that all paladins are lawful good and going down the right of righteousness and has to do this and abide by this and do this exactly to the point or you are damned. didn't sit well with me because it makes no sense. Because yes, there are a lot of great lawful good deities out there in D&D, but there's also a lot of chaotic good, lawful evil, neutral, like basically all of that, and it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have their own paladins. I mean, think about it. Yanagu, the god of all devils and gnolls and evil and such.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they not have their own basically paladin? It's more like an anti-paladin in a sense.
Yeah.
That goes out there and causes the most maximum amount of chaos in their name.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense to landlock it to that one specific thing.
Well, and like you said, that in the previous systems, that was very much it. With 3.5 in second edition, there were homebrewed ways to allow a paladin to not be the lawful good paladin. And frankly, some of those were better than the way it's done now, but the way it's done now kind of works. You just have to think about it differently.
Think a little outside the box.
The biggest thing I have with the modern iteration of the paladin is apparently you can believe in yourself so much that you have powers. It's like, how is this possible? This makes no sense. But for the game rules, you can. So and I don't remember where I saw this. It may have been on a social media forum or something. But one way to think about it is why you have powers when you believe in yourself so much, or you believe in a specific idea so much that you suddenly have these powers, is has something to do with some deity outside of what you're worshiping, or even if you are worshiping anything, sees your commitment, some powerful force, sees this commitment and is inspired by it and gives you powers. It's kind of like basically it's kind of like a warlock that earns their powers instead of a warlock that's given powers and is made to or is obligated to spread the word of this patron.
Yeah.
Whereas some super powerful being sees this mere mortal's commitment and is inspired by it and says, okay, let's see what you can do if I give you powers.
Yeah, and that's honestly one way I would play the paladin. But for the most part, it just never really sat well with me, but I am willing to give it a shot. Perhaps a future character? Who knows?
Yeah.
As for
That'd be
why...
totally interesting to see you play paladin.
As for why I didn't play Warlock, yes, they're a lot of fun. Yes, there's a lot you can do with it. I kind of wanted to step outside my comfort zone and mess around with something that I don't really do a whole lot of. In Pathfinder, one of my favorite classes, Ranger. Ranger is notoriously one of the most broken, and not in a good way, as in hardly ever works in D&D.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot and see just how bad is this? How much fun and chaos can I get into? How much can I just cause everyone to rip their hair out at my shenanigans?
Also, homie, you had more problem than anything wrapping your brain around how warlocks would work within my story when we did our pre-gaming stuff.
Yeah, no, that was
like just breaking your brain.
Yeah, no, there were some times we got a little worried about it.
Yeah, let's just say putting together the character Scabbard for this game has been probably the biggest hurdle I have faced.
Oh, God.
But I'm kind of glad I went down the route that I did because I'm actually really enjoying it.
You do look like you're having a shit.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, went with Ranger because it's something very different. It's something that's notoriously really bad. And you know what? I'm actually enjoying it, and it's not as bad as most people think it is. There's actually a lot you can do with it. Granted, we are using a slightly modified version of the Ranger. Very slightly, but it is there.
And we're also using different rules, I guess you could say, as far as character progression goes.
Yeah, we're not doing the XP system. It's more of like a milestone, I believe.
Yeah, but even so, there's more stuff into it, too. It's more like organic growing than anything.
It's a little bit more of like a natural feel to it, honestly. But yeah,
We're not like, we're level 3.
Yeah. No. You just got to actually like do it.
It's appropriate that I'm on this end of the couch and they're over there because I went entirely the other direction. Mongo is one of my all-time favorite classes. I was trying to go get a thing with Manny here. On 3, are we going to tell what Tom's favorite character class is? Because I got to tell you, it's a tie for me.
As
far as my favorite class goes, one of which is
the Wizard.
The other being
Bard.
It is absolutely no fucking secret for anybody who's played with me. Wizard and Bard, hands down, my favorite class.
You know, that does...
My least favorite, however, this may or may not be a surprise or not.
Okay, interesting.
Blood Hunter.
Blood Hunter? You know what? That's the character class
solely because there's one reason I had to go with Blood Hunter.
Okay.
I've never fucking played one.
Oh, okay.
Everything else, I've played somebody with some fighter levels. I've played a cleric for a little bit. We had one game, and I think I only got to like level 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really get to dive in, but I got to be honest, dude, you totally sold me on it. I'm going to be fucking playing a cleric soon.
Cool.
I played a paladin for like one session, so it was all like role play, but at least I got to play one. One of my characters has a couple of levels. One of my characters in Nate's game, Xandric, has a couple of levels of Warlock. He's got a couple of levels of Sorcerer on him. Everything else I've got to play at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Blood Hunter? Never played.
Okay, so with that in thought, of the ones that you have played, what is your least favorite?
Oh, God.
A little bit of a switcheroo on you there, huh? Well,
it would have to either be Paladin or Cleric, again, due to the lack of play.
Exposure, yeah. Okay.
Wait, have I even played an Artificer yet?
No, you haven't.
I don't think you have, actually.
I don't think I have, but I've looked into it more than I have Blood Hunter.
Yeah.
So literally just, that's the only reason.
Is it just because you haven't played it, or is there aspects of the class that you don't quite get or don't feel?
There was one, actually, for the last game that you were running, I looked at throwing some of the mechanics on there and playing a bit of a werewolf for a little while, but it's just, the more I looked at it, it's like, this just isn't working.
Yeah.
The build just wasn't working for what I wanted, so I just scrapped it, went with something that I could actually wrap my fucking brain around. But that's it.
Yeah.
As far as bards and wizards go, that's simple.
The next one's for you, by the way.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can do anything.
Yeah.
Anything at all. In my real life, we all have limitations, whether it be financial or physical or mental.
Mm-hmm.
There's always roadblocks that you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Either you come across a roadblock, you have to go around it, find some other way.
Some situations just go straight through.
Every time that I play a wizard or bard, I have a spell. Now it's no longer a problem. With the right fucking spell list on either of those, and good luck trying to change my mind on this one, I can do anything any other class can do.
Yeah.
And do it a little bit better, actually.
Might not be able to do it better.
Most of the time.
But if it came down to it, I could give them a fucking run for their money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Give either of them the right spell list. You get in a fight with a ranger, they could outrange almost outrange a ranger. They can almost outcleric a cleric. You get in a fight with any of them.
For that encounter.
Yeah.
After that,
oh,
they're
fucked.
They're just a meat bag.
That's actually one of the Yeah, but yeah, as soon as you're out of spell slots, woo, buddy.
You better be hoping you're
You
playing
fucked.
a combat. You better be hoping
everything else worked.
a combat bard, because if you're not, you are screwed.
Yeah. Even if you wanted to go melee,
Yeah.
there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
There are spell lists to help with that.
There's a whole subclass for bards that allow you to.
There's
be
one
melee.
for wizards as well.
Yeah, there is.
Even if you're not playing one of those, the right spell list,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah.
You could just suplex some bitch if you want to.
Yeah.
You could totally be the wizard. Then
Grab a hold of him, cast jump, boom.
that, or if
Now
you
your
cast
DM
fireball.
has to figure out how much damage that is.
Instead of wizard cast fireball, wizard cast punch.
yeah, you could totally
Yes.
play a really strong wizard if you wanted to.
That's true. Well, yeah, I
my
have
Tortle Wizard Gar
Yeah.
has an insanely high strength.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Isn't it like an 18 or something like that?
It's something like 16 to 17. I don't think it's as high as 18.
I just
I'm not opposed to getting it up there.
I only remember this because you punched Belmec and it fucking hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Okay,
and
you know what? He fucking deserved it.
He did.
Pops out,
To be
comes
fair, he
into
did.
the room out of fucking nowhere. Somebody opened a book and all of a sudden, boom, there's this fucking giant elephant who goes
Sitting on the-
Tusk first into my spell book, and I
Blink it.
still haven't forgiven him for that. Of course, I rolled a 1, which is why it happened.
That's a
I'm
bit
still
on brand.
holding Bellum responsible, not Manny. Thank God our buddy Mark was there.
Yeah.
And just without even a second hesitation, I'll cast Bending on it.
Then the book proceeded
roll
to.
for Nat 20.
Yeah.
Okay. I left the table because I'm having a fucking panic attack.
And then, of course, the book retaliates and shocked everybody near
Yeah,
death.
my spell book, not me, not Gar, which, yeah, by the way, quick sidebar, anybody who's looking to get into D&D, one other thing, you will start referring to your characters as I and me, and your team as me.
Oh, yeah. You'll
When you
do.
mean your characters, and it gets a little blurry sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like, my wizard is freaking out just like the player. And then all of a sudden gets fixed, and in retaliation because, ow, fuck, that hurt, my book casts Chain Lightning. Not me, not my wizard, spell book decides to just electrocute everybody in the room.
Gar
Mine
doesn't
has
even
all
have that
kinds
spell,
of
does he?
fun things
No,
with
He doesn't
spell
have
books.
that one.
No, he doesn't. He does not have that spell.
So that leads to the question, what the hell does the book know that you don't?
Oh, from the conversations, yes,
lot.
I have a talking spell book, and this is before the Order of the Scribes have come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so mine has all
Yeah.
kinds of fun stuff with spell books and wands and stuff. For wizards.
Oh, dude, you guys should see Mongo's spell book. If there's a way to get this thing in real life, I don't care how much money.
So it brings me up a question that I had for you. Your character Mongo is a wizard.
Wizard in training, he hasn't got a school yet.
Wizard in training, yeah. But you also playing very showmanship. What was was the origin on why you wanted to play a wizard that presents as a bard instead of a bard that presents as a wizard?
You know, he do bring up a really good point.
I'm just interested. It's like, why? Why did you want to do that?
Why did you do that, actually? I'm
Because
kinda
you
curious.
play a wizard that presents as a bard, you don't have shocking or cutting words or
I just haven't got those spells yet.
yeah, or you don't have
Trust me,
inspiration or bardic
Once
inspiration.
Mongo can talk shit and do some shit at the same time,
Mhm.
guess what his favorite fucking spell's gonna be?
I'm assuming it's Vicious Mockery.
Yeah, vicious mockery. Vicious
I
mockery's a
will dad
wizard
joke
spell.
an NPC to death.
Wait, vicious mockery's a wizard spell.
It can be with which level? I know there's a level you could actually pick up spells.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
cantrips.
it's like scribe
From
or something.
another,
Like, scribe,
No,
right?
that's bards who get to do
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Wizards can't. They're locked into their spell list. But a while ago, the fine folks at Wizards of the Coast did decide that it's not cutting words. Do Believe It Is Vicious Mockery is now available on the Wizard Spell List, which couldn't make me happier. Because I gotta tell you, I like the Bard spell. Because they can vouch my love affair of dad jokes
is offensive.
Okay. Painfully hilarious sometimes, horrendously terrible at others. At best, sometimes elicits a groan of disapproval or a chuckle of relief.
The fact that I've actually been able to tell some jokes that are so bad that I actually, in real life, get to see some people take 1d4 of psychic damage.
Screw you, buddy.
Just brings such joy to me.
I'm still not forgiving you for that one.
There's a lot you haven't forgiven me for, and I'm okay with it. I know there's one joke in particular that Nate has never forgiven me for and has gone out of his way to repress that memory.
Is that the
database?
The database?
Keep all my bad jokes in a database. When I first told him that, oh my god, he went on for 20 minutes. Oh my god, how could you say I was crying.
I think it's more
so was he, but different reasons entirely. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and we did a terrible mistake and got him a fantasy D&D themed dad joke book.
I don't.
Why
I love
we did that?
book.
I don't fucking know.
I love that book,
that
and it
for
sits
either.
at the table with me.
You were not
And
forgetting
I
that
have
either.
read so many. Every time I need a joke that fits in the scenario, I literally just open up to a random fucking page. It's great.
Well, our next question is actually something that you have to do.
So what was that?
Is that the tech question?
Yeah. It drops on you.
What is your preferred editing program, camera, and mic? All right. Well, since some of this is nothing I do, I will read the curated response. I just make sure the computers work, guys. The whole videography stuff, nah, I'm really not too much into that. So the editing, for editing, once we get to that stage, which, yeah, we will be producing vodcasts.
We do have other shows in the works.
Yeah, and
quite a few actually.
And like Let's Play kind of stuff. We will be doing some of that stuff. So we will be breaching that gap of editing our videos.
It's gonna take some time.
But the official answer from the boss says the Adobe Suite. So as for streaming, we use OBS Studio. For map software, our GM likes to use Incarnate.
Really cool one, actually.
Yeah.
I messed around with it myself. Very powerful tool. Requires a very beefy computer, though. Mine can barely handle it.
Alright, so for cameras, we are currently using a mishmash of cameras. We have the 7 Ti, the 8 Ti, and the 7D Mark II, all from Canon, I believe. The 2 Ti's are running an 8mm crop sensor lenses, okay, and the Mark II is running a 24-70 lens that, and we all pump that into 3 separate Elgatos, HDMI to USB adapters that we plug into our computer that sends our glorious data out into the webs for you guys to consume. For mics, we're using 3 Audio Technica AT875R mics, shotgun mics. So hopefully that's working out good for you all. Audio, and a Yeti Pro that you can see on the camera right now, which is what we're using right now because this is kind of just like a very casual thing. So it has this orb capture of sound, whereas the Audio Technica's ones that we use are very kind of dialed into a very narrow range.
It's
So,
like a 45-degree angle it's able to pick up on.
so we have a better audio hopefully for you guys. Yeah, and we run these into a Mackie and a Scarlett, and yeah, that's how we get our audio to you guys.
Can't forget our important little thing down
Oh
there.
yeah. We have a
Stream Deck.
A Stream Deck from Elgato as well. It's really cool. And some of the work I've done to try to get this stuff working together, I ran across some really crazy websites where people are actually programming. Like
actual games.
Yeah, like for the Elgato Stream Deck, they're actually programming applications that kind of have a touch screen like functionality for all the buttons on the Stream Deck. So like you want to do something in the game that you're running, you're looking at the Stream Deck as your video interface, and you're pressing what would be essentially the screen for the it's like people are crazy. That's pretty intense stuff. It's a really neat system. There are some things, of course, that I haven't figured out.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
oh, dude, I saw one of the videos he showed me. It's insane what they can do. It's actually really cool.
So I was actually playing Minecraft on the
Stream Deck
Deluxe Plus Stream Decks that we have.
Yeah,
it's like they're not. It's not like monitor and using the Stream Deck as the interface to make what you want to do. Is like everything's on the Stream Deck.
Yeah.
Oh good lord!
Yeah,
because those are 32 little like display panels.
It's really weird looking at it happen too, because like there's a small gap between each key.
Yeah.
But it still works as a full screen that you can physically
like literally
touch.
like if you take like 4 monitors and I put them in a big giant square, for intense like gaming and stuff like that. Yeah, you can get the upper right or upper left of your display in the upper left monitor, upper right display in the upper right, so on and so forth. That's what they do with the Stream Decks. It's like that's some crazy stuff.
It really is.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we got on that. Looking at upgrades. Oh yeah, of course we're always looking for upgrade. So if you guys have any ideas of better equipment, better setups to use, we definitely are happy to hear from you on that. Because we are all amateurs at best. So my IT administration knowledge can only go so far.
Well, yeah.
So we got anything else on that one? Oh yeah.
Our awesome janky backdrop sometimes.
It's not that janky.
Come on, one of them was falling apart.
So,
but we have some good ones now, actually.
Yeah. So the next one we have here is, what are some of the biggest hurdles you have had to overcome as a player for your character, and a huge hurdle for your character to overcome so far? And I will push that over to Tom because he hasn't started the last couple.
Okay, so things that Mongo has had to overcome.
Yeah.
What
is the biggest hurdle Mongo has had to overcome so far? Or something that he's trying to overcome stuff.
Whew. There's a lot to unpack there.
Recent events for in-game, of course. He's quickly realized that he's not as helpful as he originally thought. So now he's just trying to figure out a way to help out his brothers and his sisters that's actually helpful. He's come up with a couple of ideas that always seem to involve high explosives, which worries me a little.
Doesn't bother Nikolai. He's like, okay, let's blow it up.
Yeah.
Or catch it on fire. So.
But it's just like every time he knows that he's severely limited by his spell list. So he's trying to get more spells. He still has no idea, which is difficult on my part because I have like half the fucking spells memorized. So not metagaming the shit out of that is very difficult for me sometimes. That it's just like, oh, okay. There's like, what is after that first round with the bandits, then he finds out there's a spell called Fireball. It's just like, oh, if I just would have learned that, everybody's life would have been easier.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know it. So it's just like he's coming to terms, trying to anyway, with his own limitations.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like he doesn't know Fireball, but he can't know Fireball
He
right now.
didn't
Anyways,
even outside of that, he didn't know the spell existed.
yeah.
There's just all these spells that it's just like, oh, okay, every problem that we've come across, spell, problem solved.
The spell solves
Spell, problem solved. It's like, as long as I've got a spell slot, I am the solution.
So far.
But even if he had the spells, he wouldn't even know how to fucking cast them.
Yeah.
Just him realizing that, yeah, he's, for lack of a better term, useless in his own mind. Which is one reason why every time something comes up, he's desperately trying to come up with some fucking idea on how to make shit easier for his family, because he knows he is nothing without them.
Okay. It's kind of the same with Scavard, actually. The biggest hurdle as a player, you already kind of know, is just making the damn character. But the biggest hurdle for Scavard, though, Scavard is kind of pathetic and minute. He's very small. He's admittedly cowardly and weak. He tries to show that he is brave, when in fact he's honestly really not that brave at all, and acts entirely on instinct sometimes. He is getting better at this as he's growing and learning more about the world. He's trying to find himself, discovering himself a little bit more, and learning where exactly does he sit on the path of fate that is before him. Thing is that because he's so small and because he is a type of kobold that doesn't necessarily, as far as the player and as far as he is aware, is extremely rare and may not be as common as most others are. He has no idea about who he really is or what he really is. He has no information as to where he came from. He has no idea as to why he is in the situation he's in right now. And the biggest hurdle for him, honestly, is just figuring out, who the hell am I? What am I? Why am I?
Why?
But yeah, that's honestly his biggest hurdle, is the fact that he's just in a world where magic, monsters, giants, and things that are literally large enough to literally just take him as an ant and just... What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation?
Not piss off your sisters.
But yeah, honestly, he's just trying to find himself, basically. And that's literally his biggest hurdle, is figuring out what, pretty much.
For me, the biggest hurdle for Nikolai is
inventing shit that his family will let him.
well, yeah, I mean, there was this thing that he wanted to make that nobody would let him even try.
Is this the damn guillotine?
Yes.
God damn it.
That fucking thing is going to get you or somebody else fucking killed.
You know what? Screw it. Explain this. Explain this. Those of you out there listening and watching, please help explain why this would be a terrible idea. Because it is the most asinine idea I've ever heard.
It was a trick guillotine that he wanted to make to help his brother impress someone. That's all.
Right.
Yes, a fucking magic trick. Or sleight of hand kind of magic, not like arcane.
Magic trick, okay? Gotta remember this.
Stage illusion, that's what it was supposed to be.
You got decapitated, but didn't actually make you lose your head.
Yes, exactly. It'll work. But no, his family won't let him do it because they're afraid. Anyways.
Yes, but we're going to go to pieces over it.
At the time, there was no cleric out there that could revive you. We couldn't risk it.
So yeah, I guess probably one of the biggest hurdles for Nikolai is finding that thing that he really excels in with what he understands of the artificer kind of realm of existence. And he wants to go through, as described before, he wants to make the machine so that he can be more of a beneficial character within his family dynamic, instead of always having to be picked up and taken someplace because he's so small, or always having to have someone grab something for him because it's 4 feet up off the ground, kind of thing. So or more than 4 or more feet higher, or really 3 or more feet higher is kind of like a stretch. So that's his biggest thing, is to try to make himself more independently functional, so that his family doesn't need to do stuff for him. So yeah, that's his biggest thing. Biggest thing to overcome right now probably is getting people to understand the importance he sees on certain things. I guess is one thing I can see, is like he has an ability to understand certain things, but he can't quite communicate it effectively. And that, quite honestly, could be my own problem. But I try to play Nikolai a little bit naive in certain things, a little bit innocent in certain things. So drawing correlations with regards to life in general, to how to address a problem that we're facing, doesn't work very much for him. He just like, there's just hands up in there. Okay, fine, I'll go do this thing, kind of thing, because I can't make you guys understand, kind of thing. So I guess maybe that's along the lines of a biggest thing Nikolai's dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Next
Questions
question.
from any of the chats?
Yeah, not seeing much of anything.
Yeah, for some reason we can't pull up the
Yeah, I can't pull up the chat
Twitch.
for Twitch.
I don't know why.
Like, I had it up for a minute, but
It might need to be on a physical computer, not a tablet.
this is a physical computer.
Yeah. Next question.
Well, next one up. Do we have any favorite dice or tabletop supplies? Anything particular we like to use? Who are they? Why? Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpackage there, actually.
We'll start
I think all of us have bought an awful lot of dice. Not just the three of us, not just at the table, but anybody in our group's gotten a lot of dice from Kraken.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Kraken, Chessex, Solpar.
I think you're the one that buys Chessex, but
that was my first pair, actually.
It was everybody's first pair of dice.
I'm not sure. I know the shop that I got mine from. But the first ones that I ever got, which I still have, which might be the cursed dice, went down to my local game shop, picked up a set of dice. Dude offered to sell me a dice bag too, but I didn't get it at the time. Physically, I didn't understand why I wanted a dice bag. And also, I didn't understand the necessity for a dice bag. That has since changed.
Oh, yeah.
Many dice bags.
Yeah.
I have my dice somewhere around here. I'm not digging that up right
like
now.
the set that I use for Mongo's set, that one came from UR Wizards. It's a labradorite set.
That's actually another good one.
They're beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really liking a couple of the UR Wizards dice that I got.
They do have some really good dice. I think my first set was, in fact, a Chessex set. My first 3 sets of dice actually were from Chessex. After that, Started getting dice from Kraken because really good quality. They work really well. And on top of that, they're just really nice to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I particularly love the, well, really for any dice producer, I particularly love the semi-precious metals and gems.
There's
dice.
one that you bring up a lot, and that's the big, giant, not necessarily the basketball size one, but like the one that's like the size of like a line.
Oh yeah, the one I want to
the
throw
Goliath?
at you
Yes,
because you're making
the
bad
Goliath.
jokes.
Yes, that one you bring up quite a lot.
Yeah, we have a couple of those.
I think we have one on the
like
shelf right now.
50 millimeter? Was that what those? Or
Something like that.
40
They're
millimeter?
big
They're
and
huge.
they're toe breakers,
And they're heavy as hell.
which is why he wants to throw them at me.
Basically, take a dice, like a D20 the size of a small baseball, but about 3 to 5 times as dense.
Yeah.
They weigh about a pound.
Yeah, they're made out of fucking metal.
A pound is
Solid
more
steel,
like
yeah.
more like 4 pounds, man.
No, they're not that.
But I do
They're
have
heavy.
to say, I do kind of lean towards metal dice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dice are fun.
Not necessarily one company over another, but there was one time that I came over. I thought I had all my stuff with me, and I totally wrong. So I had to borrow a set of dice that was just here, and it happened to be a metal set. And ever since then, that's just where I lean.
Yeah.
There's this one. You know the one I'm about to mention.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you can see that look in my eye. I can tell. There is this brass set, caged.
Oh, that
cage
one.
dice.
Those
So
look nice.
beautiful. I want them.
Yeah.
They're fucking expensive, which is why I don't have them.
Yeah.
It's like 200 or something,
Well,
right?
you bought a set of cage dice, though, right?
I do have a set of cage dice.
Yeah.
I can use them sometimes.
Yeah, but
They're made out of aircraft grade aluminum.
Yeah,
But
like-
the thing is, they're so light.
they always
The D20,
auto-cock.
the D20 always lands fucking cocked. If God help me if I ever have to fucking roll advantage with those things, I'm
12
literally
12
rolling
rolls.
like for 5 fucking minutes, and by the time I get the second result, I forgot what the first one was, so I got to start all over again. So I think that kind of got banned from the table. But like the cage ones are way heavier, so that's just not an issue.
Yeah, the brass ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
Well, that's
And
what
just-
the manufacturer, we got him over at the Comic-Con, right?
Mhm.
We talked to him about it. It says like the aluminum, though, they're really cool. They're just so light that
Yeah, that unfortunately does happen now. And like the D6s and the 12s and all that, that's never happened. It's only on the D20 that it lands a little cocked sometimes.
Most of the time.
When I'm rolling, because peek behind the screen here, our groups will lead me.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy has once rolled for like 5 minutes straight and did not once got a roll above a 10.
There was one night in this. So going back to our Call of Cthulhu games, there's one common NPC enemy that gets used because they're creepy as fuck. And the whole reason why I absolutely hate them is solely because we had to square off against them. It was almost a TPK.
Yeah.
It's
And-
Call of Cthulhu. It's always an almost a TPK.
All right, that is valid. And it's like I was making my checks, but every time I went to attack, I'd miss. And it's just like I'm down to like my last hit.
Yeah.
And it's the bad guy's last hit. It's whoever lands next
Wins.
wins.
Yeah.
The other side is just dead.
Yeah.
And Maya was running this game, and finally it's just one shit roll after another, after another, after another from me. Finally, she got so fucking fed up. She ordered me to use a different dice. And everybody at the table agreed with her. So it's just like I grabbed every other fucking D20 that I grabbed and just rolled it. Like 5, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Nothing above a fucking 10. Finally, I think she admits, like, you know what? I'm lower on the DC. Just roll above a fucking 10 so we can just get on with this shit.
I think she lowered it lower than a 10, wasn't it?
Fuck, I think
I think she
Just
dropped
don't
it.
roll a fumble.
Yeah,
I think she dropped it to like
Um,
a 5, actually.
I went through all of my dice twice. And then everybody was just getting fucking frustrated with me. Fine, use these. I went through about everybody else's dice. I'm rolling for like, what was it, like 20 fucking minutes?
Yeah.
And finally, I think she just grabbed one, rolled one.
I'll roll for you.
And it landed on like a 16. Here, you're taking that. It's like phone.
Pretty freaking nuts.
Yeah. If there's a chance for somebody to roll a 1.
Here comes this one of the
little fur goblin.
Yep, the gremlin. But yeah, no, you have some really shit rolls sometimes.
Oh,
but that's everybody though. But I think you have like the biggest curse than all.
There's something I would actually really, really love to do, and that is actually track, not just mine, but like everybody else's rolls.
Okay.
Like actually write down. It's like, okay, I rolled a d20 and I landed on 6. Okay, another roll, 7.
Yeah.
And just actually go through like an entire session, see what my average roll is.
Yeah. Recently, as far as like tabletop equipment and stuff like that, a couple of us bought for Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas.
The dice boxes.
Who was it that made those?
Eldritch. God, I forgot the last name of it. It's like Eldritch something. I got a set for everybody. And then somebody else got a set for everybody. So everybody has like 2 dice box sets.
Yeah.
Those things are honestly really awesome. Highly recommend them. They keep your dice protected. They're really cool.
Yeah.
Have really great designs that are not only class specific, but if you have like a favorite like movie or something, or a favorite like theme, for instance, they have dice specifically designed after like Vikings, after Celtic knots, some of them after Native American designs, some of them after like sailor design and stuff like that. Really cool option if you want to have something really nice.
Oh no, those dice boxes are fucking beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like those dice boxes. I don't remember who it was that for the dice tower that Mike got me.
I don't remember that one either.
But then again, I mean, there's so many companies out there.
That
Makes, we were at the Renaissance Fair not so long ago, and we actually saw somebody who had a little dice jail.
An actual dice jail?
Mm-hmm. I almost bought that.
Oh, that's dope. You have to describe it for me, real quick.
Oh god, they cut it out of, I believe it was plywood.
Okay.
It looks like a more like a malleable type of wood. Not exactly like.
It wasn't like oak or pine or anything like that.
It was kind of
but
like.
It looked really cool. It almost looked like a treasure chest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it had like bars on it, and you could actually like open it up,
put a dice in there,
and put your D20 in there, and it's so.
Would make it even better if they had like a little latch you could put an actual mini lock on there. That'd be awesome. I'd buy it.
Just lock you away.
But yeah, honestly,
you have betrayed me for the last time. I shall never speak of you.
It do be like that sometimes. You could have a favorite, like my personal favorite set is a dice set that I actually received as a gift from our artist, actually, Rachel. And I love going to that dice set all the time because it hardly ever fails me. Everyone always thinks that die is loaded, but there have been times where I've rolled multiple ones in a row. It has been tested. This die is, in fact, like a legitimate die. It's just really lucky. But there are those times where, even though it's your personal favorite, your luck will eventually run out.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to like finding...
I do think I also have a favorite dice set. It was from Kraken. A couple years ago, they did a Christmas release. So Mike got me the package for that, which came with it's like a clear acrylic dice with like gold flake in it, and those are by far, I would have to say, my favorite because they always roll really nicely.
You know that set that I'm actually jealous that you have and I don't? The cast iron one.
Yeah, no, that one's actually pretty awesome.
Those are pretty cool.
Those are fucking
Those are just clunk.
Awesome.
Man, every time you throw it in the dice tower, I immediately get a little bit nervous.
It's gonna break the fucking
it sounds like it's just gonna go straight through every single level and just boom right at the bottom.
But see, that's one of the reasons I lean towards metal dice a lot. And don't get me wrong, I've seen all the dice, like a lot of the dice porn out there.
Yeah.
And what you can do with acrylic, what some people have done, I've seen ones that are totally clear, and they have like little turtles or little ducks, and those are so awesome, and I love those. But I like the feel of metal.
Yeah.
Honestly, metal dice in general are always nicer to have. That's less likely to break. The only downside is if you're using felt or plastic or something as your tray or tower, don't do it, please.
So
Make sure you get some good quality
She's
stuff.
never on camera. It's the first time she's ever been on camera.
Yeah, no, she's usually off in her own world doing her own thing. She might Pennywise right now, actually. She looks in like 2 separate directions sometimes.
She's a good kitty, though.
Oh, this is a really fun next question, actually.
Well, a couple other things. So yeah, I don't think much of us, but the only thing that we can speak of with regards to personal favorites is probably your Wizards for dice and Kraken for dice.
Oh, yeah.
All the other things, it's kind of like very sporadic. Oh, that looks pretty. I want that kind of thing. Like I got this mug from Doug, I believe. Yeah, it was Doug, right?
Drinking horn, prop purchase when we went to the Ren Fair once.
I was like, I don't know where he got it from, but I love it. It's pretty cool. I don't use it very much because it does say Dungeon Master, and I'm not the Dungeon Master for our stream game, so I don't use it.
All of us do seem to suffer from OSD. Ooh, shiny disease.
Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, you don't really need a whole lot to get a game going. You just need a set of dice. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a great set. You just need to have some knowledge.
In all reality, you don't even need a set of
Beyond
dice.
has digital dice.
Yeah, that's
you sign
true.
up for an account, a free account even. You
get a set of digital
access
dice.
to digital dice, and you're ready to go. You can bring it up right on your phone.
But there's nothing like having the actual dice in your hands.
Yeah, there is something special about rolling a physical die versus just clicking a button.
Some people prefer the digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer metal.
Hillary uses the digital dice.
Yeah.
So.
I know what it's. You've got. I know the ones you use are mostly acrylic.
I have like.
You've got the cast iron.
Yeah, all my dice I have I play with recently have been my metal or my stone dice.
The ones that I use for Mongo are labradorite, so it's just like both whatever you feel like, you know.
Do you see something that looks like a crystal die made out of a unique gemstone? Go for it. I'd just be careful because it might break. But yeah, you don't really need a whole lot. You just have to have like a little bit of a passionate drive to go ahead and get in and just mess around with the whole world of D&D, see how you feel for it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need like the fanciest thing out there. Hell, you can make your own dice if you wanted to.
There are plenty of online tutorials on YouTube on just how to fucking make your own.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go down that route.
You're kind of interested in looking at some of that.
Well, our next question actually comes directly from Rachel. Which Golden Girl, if you took the test, would your character end up being?
So we all already done the Golden Girl one.
This is funny.
So our artist asked us to take a test, and we did as our characters.
Yeah.
I think we did the Golden Girl one and the house
you
one.
and I did the Hogwarts.
I haven't done the Hogwarts one for Nikolai yet, but I can do it.
Yeah, they don't take long if you want to.
Yeah, it's like literally like 5 questions.
Yeah.
But
the funny thing is, all 3 of us on the Golden Girls one all got the exact same one.
We ended up with Blanche.
Blanche Devereaux.
What? Okay. That was weird.
Which totally makes sense for Mongo.
not so much for Scabbard. Kinda. I did retake the quest and actually came out with Betty White for that one.
The one I thought was a bit more appropriate for Mongo is which Hogwarts house did he fall into, based off of the food you would grab at a buffet.
In the actual castle.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't in the actual castle, it was just like a regular old buffet. In which case, I want to give everybody a sec to let their get their guesses in.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think Mongo was? Which house? I'll give you about like 10 seconds to decide.
So this was, you said you did the one for Harry Potter with what food you would eat?
Yeah.
Out of a buffet, yeah.
Time's up.
Mongo wind up getting Hufflepuff. And you know what? I kind of feel like that's appropriate.
It is very appropriate for Mongo, actually, given his personality. I ended up taking that test, and not too surprised. A lot of went into it pretty accurate as to Scabbard. He ended up as a Gryffindor, actually.
A Gryffindor? Sorry. I honestly have no personal opinion about that. I was just being funny with words.
Yeah.
I can't find this this one.
Oh, it's all good.
Or I'm not saying it. Didn't you link it to Manny?
I tried to.
It was,
I don't
it
think
was
it worked,
linked
though.
to the chat.
I think I hit the wrong button.
But yeah, no. Yeah. I'm gonna take a guess and say it's probably gonna be. Knowing you, probably a Slytherin.
No. You know what? Who I could see? What house I could see him getting into? Or not? Sorry, not Nate. See, this is what I'm saying. You wind up referring to your friends as the characters.
Yep, happens a lot.
Yeah. I could see Nikolai going Ravenclaw.
You know, and I honestly don't.
Kinda, yeah, actually.
Like, I watched the Harry Potters, and I mean nothing negative about them. They were entertaining to me, but that was the extent for me.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion on what class they would be in. I never really followed any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's all good.
Oh, that hurt. Painful hiccups.
So while I continue to look for the quiz, so I can do it for Nikolai. What's the next one, guys?
Where
we want to try another one?
Don't really have.
I'll probably hit the next question.
Yeah, I was gonna hit the next question.
Okay.
Because this is
If there are any of the little goofy quizzes you want us to take in character, let us know. So this will
Yeah.
Go ahead and post
We'll
them in
see,
the chat.
see what we get.
So, next question. Where did you get inspired for your character, and why did you decide on this character?
Oh, fuck.
This is a doozy.
Oh, God. When it comes to D&D inspiration, holy fuck, is it all over the place.
It really can be.
As I stated earlier, I have a head full of pop culture. Some of my characters, including Mongo, I have gotten inspiration from Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra. The Doctor Strange movies with Benedict Cumberbatch from the MCU, which love. The aforementioned Harry Potter's, The Wizarding World. About every movie I've seen where somebody can do something fantastic. I've got one character, another wizard, surprise, a turtle. Fucking love him. He's the one that got stabbed in the book by that fucking elephant of his. And he gets a lot of inspiration from Full Metal Alchemist because he is a transmutation wizard. But with Mongo, probably like a lot of stage magicians in real world. Being able to do all the varying card tricks, that kind of stuff, and it's just like, hey, what if one of them decided to actually learn how to do the other kind of magic?
Yeah. For me, a lot of my characters are just based off what is the most insane, asinine idea I can come up with, and how can I make it work? How is the fastest way I can just break the minds of my DM?
And yet, it hasn't happened yet.
It has not happened, because they can come up with some crazier stuff than I can.
Oh my God.
That's for sure. But no, some ideas for characters I've done. I've done 2 gnolls before. One was a ranger that did not range, but instead like being up close and personal and like overwhelming targets with just sheer brute force. Another was another type of gnoll that instead of using brute strength was a fighter that liked being swift, agile, completely overwhelming someone with speed. I've played a warlock that used their powers for good. Actually, instead of doing evil deeds, would use their abilities for more medicinal purposes. Granted, still did some pretty shady stuff, such as like, oh, you need to survive, but you need a very specific thing. we're just gonna dip a little bit into necromancy, deal with this body over here real quick, and bring this person back to life. But hey, now they're alive. Problem solved. Or I've played for instance, a barbarian that's actually highly intelligent but weak. Like there's a lot of things you could do. Like really creative. And for me, it's just come down to like, all right, what is the most insane thing I can think of, and how can I make this work? How can I make this fun? What can I do here? And there's a lot that you can do.
Oh yeah, you can pull inspiration from just about anywhere. Big shout out to Tulok the Bardbrarian. I'm sure I pronounced that correctly. I love watching his channel because he takes a lot of pop culture icons and figures out how to make them work in D&D.
I always forget his name. What's the other guy that always does that stuff? It's like the 30-second clips, like weird stuff you can do in D&D.
Oh, D&D shorts. Yeah,
yes.
He's great too. But it's just you can pull inspiration out of anything. Random place. You see a movie, hey, that character sounds like fun. Maybe I like their personality, but I like this character's abilities, and you can just mix and match. And there have been a couple of my characters where I have not put a whole lot of thought into, and it's like, okay, we're starting at level 1. Cool. Random dice roll. I'm playing one of those guys, and I'm playing that race, or I'm playing that class, and it's just like, okay, and then kind of just BS your backstory that I'm pretty sure I've annoyed the crap out of one or two of my DMs with that.
Fives?
Fives is fantastic.
Fives is pretty great, but holy shit, I was not expecting all kobolds.
Yeah. Yeah,
that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, fucking did.
So,
what's your inspiration?
Where did Nikolai come from?
Like I said, I think I touched on that a little bit, but it was kind of along the lines. I actually think my first like real kind of thought on Nikolai was more along the lines of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where like he had this brain with barely functional like appendages and a barely functional body, creating a robot to be in.
You know, now that you say that, yeah, I kind of see that.
So that's kind of where I went with Nikolai, and then I realized, well, he's a mouse, so now he's a lot like.
Is he trying to take over the world?
Yeah,
like there's something you haven't told us, brother.
Like Brain with his little human robot body that he made once. But
God, if you're Brain, who's Pinky?
But yeah, I think that's the biggest inspiration was this picture of this barely functional.
Listen here, you know shit.
Body, MODOK too. We got some MODOK in there too.
Yeah,
like this completely useless like body that really can't do anything. So he creates this machine to use so that he can like be more functional. So that's kind of the biggest inspiration, and also of course I wanted to play something ridiculous, and I figured a mouse folk type character was kind of absolutely ridiculous.
I do have to say, I've seen you have a lot.
Oh yeah.
Of thought.
Oh yeah.
Nikolai.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny seeing the biggest guy at the table play the tiniest of critters, and somehow he does it so great.
That's something that nobody set out to play. None of us tried to do this.
Yeah, no.
But three of the physically largest characters,
largest people,
the largest people are the three sitting on the couch right now, and we're all playing the smallest characters.
Yeah.
Mongo's only like 2 foot 3 inches. Scavs is
2 foot exact.
2 foot exact.
Nikolai's a foot.
Yeah.
If he stretches.
If he stretches, yeah.
Yeah.
You barely come up to like Scavering's knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, we're three of the biggest fucking people in the group.
Well, I Well, this next question we kind of already covered except for the last part.
Let's bring it up.
What is the drive of your character and their motivations? And how do they see the world? Well, kind of went over the drive and motivations, but as for how they see the world, that one's kind of interesting, actually. Well, Scaverd's naturally kind of a coward by nature. That goes with pretty much all kobolds, honestly. But he's,
Pigeonhole all kobolds as cowards.
most of them are.
Come on.
But,
Boy,
My favorite kobold is not a coward.
but,
Discount is not a coward.
No,
Neither,
I'm not talking about discount.
Yeah, well, I am. Neither is Fingy. Fives is cautious. Let's just say that he is not likely to throw a punch.
see, the key word was most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you
He will
didn't
blow
catch
something
that,
the fuck up with a spell.
so if you didn't catch that, yes, myself, and Tom are playing a 3 kobolds in a trench coat, who is named essentially the 5 Fingies Discount.
Yep.
Discount as like a weird kind of like play on like sort of Frenchish kind of like language, as in a count, discount, they count. So he's got this this noble mentality that he's running. Plus, he also stole noble papers, so
Yeah.
which were forged. So that's how that story came along.
And now you have official papers, though.
Yeah, and we did that to totally intentionally screw with Manny as much as we possibly could. This is the first game he's wanting to run and run and run. It's like, I don't know if he can do it because he's always doing this weird metagame optimization of character stuff all the time. Sure, let's let him do it and let's screw with him as much as we can.
And you guys fell in love with it.
If I have any kind of say in it, we're going back to that campaign.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. At
my
some
little
point.
homeschool kobold, I love. The 3 kobolds in a trench coat got this one wizard, a cryomancer, sorry. Cool fucking wizard. Got him hammered.
And then stole all the shit.
Okay, look, Fives thought he had a cookbook, and since he wasn't really able to do very much in the tribe that they were from, he wanted to be a chef.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a baker.
Yeah.
And anybody who's a fan of the Dragon Prince will understand that. So he grabbed his book, borrowed it
on a semi-permanent basis.
Yeah, quasi.
If you meet him again, maybe you'll give it back.
Maybe, if he's already gotten everything he needs out of it, fuck it.
I mean, it was established that this was a very powerful wizard's backup spell. So you may have an enemy, you may not. Who knows?
Well, you get what you get. And yeah, he turns out he just has a knack for the arcane arts. And I love that little shit.
Hopefully we'll get back to that at some point. I know we're still missing some players for that, but hey, it's a blast whenever you 3 are involved. Especially when everyone else is
Literally, when
involved
Fives
too.
is around, he blows shit up.
And the one kobold, Hugh, who loves chewing on all types of mushrooms and stuff. And of course our honorary kobold was actually a fire genasi. God, it's such a trip. And of course the mad masked man that you guys were dealing with. I think that's where we left off, actually.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly where we left off. You create a 900-year legend.
You know what? When you give a bunch of troublemakers the access to time travel, what the fuck do you expect?
What the
That
fuck
is your
do you expect?
own fault.
That is.
So we have another question?
Well, we didn't really answer that. Have you ever gone off on a wild tangent? Here we go. So
what is the question again?
How do they see the world?
How do they see the world? Okay.
Yeah, how the hell did we...
I don't know, but here we go. You can go ahead and start this one off.
Oh, how does... Right now, I think Mongo is seeing it as just a new story for him to tell. It's both fun and exciting because there's so much new in the world. He finally got to meet another one like him. He's never met another Munchkin Tabaxi. And he finally got to meet one in the...
And he's in love with her.
I am not. Neither is Mongo.
Lies.
I don't fucking remember. See, this is what I mean. That distinction between keeping yourself and the characters when they're such a fucking part of you. The line gets blurry.
The line gets blurry.
I have an in-canon reason why he is not in love with her, and it totally makes fucking sense.
Okay. But we're teasing you anyways.
Yeah, I know. As soon as we find another mouse, what goes around comes around.
That hamster is crazy.
Oh, wait till Mongo finds out about that. But yeah, it's new, it's terrifying. And yeah, once he finds out what lies in a wizard's spell book, is going to change his perspective on the entire world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. For sure. Nikolai's perspective on the world? Ooh, shiny, I guess. Like, everything comes from... He's never seen any of this stuff before. I mean, it's the fact that, other NPCs helped to make his first machine, and, like, there was this kinship between him and other artificers. It was absolutely amazing to Nikolai to know that though he loves his family and he knows that his family love him, to know that there's more outside of the family. There's kinship that can be garnered outside of the family unit is absolutely amazing to him. It's kind of a struggle for him because his family came along with him because he's trying to find his birth parents, and we're just now been able to get some clue into that thing, but there's also the problems like, well, his adopted family doesn't need to spend their lives for him. So that's another kind of like thing that he's just struggling with. Is like these five that he's with are blood by choice kind of thing, and they're here with him because he wanted to go find his birth family. And now, is he holding them back now instead of him holding them back, or instead of they holding him back for the right or wrong reasons or whatever, just out of pure love and hope and fear of his safety? Now, is he holding them back, kind of thing? So there's a little bit of a struggle there for him. He knows that they love him and he loves them. So his struggle is that growing up and leaving the family, maybe, kind of thing, to be his own. So like he can do that. He's got this Tinker Guild that is helping him accomplish his goals and giving him a place in the world and a thing to do. So
how does Scavard see the world?
How does that manic little fucking ball of crazy?
It is a very cruel yet beautiful place where he has admiration for a lot of things and is terrified of everything at the same time.
And a mass hatred of all things rats.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's a story for another time, unfortunately. But yeah, no. Scavard is, by nature, minute and admittedly a little bit cowardly, but he's getting over his fears and slowly becoming a little bit more brave, more adventurous, doing things that is a little bit out of character for him because he's slowly developing and learning. And he's starting to see that while the world is definitely very large, very big, very mass, and scary, there are certain little things to it that makes it not so bad of a place. And the more he explores, the more he ventures out, the more he learns, and the more that he learns, the more he understands that, yes, I'm small, yes, I'm weak, yes, I could die at any given moment, but everything I do up to that point has led me to this exact moment. Perhaps I can go a little bit further or do something more. And that's basically how Scavard really sees the world, at least the way I feel it, pretty much. It's a terrifying place, and while it is cruel, he has admiration for the people, for the creatures, the birds, the nature, all of it in general. It's an entirely different experience than what he's been used to. And while he's there with his family, he knows at some point he's probably going to be off on his own, doing his own thing. And just based on the last session, we kind of saw a little bit of that, actually, when he stayed by himself out in the forest on his own for the first time away from family ever.
Yeah. And you also managed to step a bullet in the foot with a spear.
Yeah, when he attacked his family, he kind of got a little bit angry and decided, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to go with it. And he ran up and charged that bullet with the spear, knowing damn well, dear God, I'm going to die.
Yeah, that was my headcanon. I just see this little kobold running at this thing with a spear, stabbing it in the leg, and going, yes, I did it. And then looking, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That was my headcanon. And then running away.
But yeah, Scavard's literally just learning about him, how different the world actually is, but how it's not always that bad. Yes, there's always bad things going on, but there's always the positives to look at too for him.
Yeah.
I guess,
Do you have something there, Tom? Something more? I mean, you started it. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I started.
All right.
oh, next one's pretty easy. What is your go-to snack or drink for the game, or combination of thereof?
Oh, that is not that fucking easy.
It's pretty damn
No,
easy.
it isn't.
Are you kidding? Any type of, like, sugar-free drink, mostly. And anything that's salty or sweet, such as, like, potato chips or donuts.
Donuts are fantastic and appropriate at any game. As far as
But you gotta admit, the veggie trays with the cheese and the little, like, pepperoni bites and stuff, those are always good, too.
those are pretty classic. Hard to go wrong with those. Usually on stream, I've got Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Those are great. Donuts, I love, which is why I've mentioned them twice now. I think what else? Chips are always good.
Hertz donuts.
I love that place.
I think my favorite is probably though we don't usually have them that much, is like M&Ms of any variety. In particular, my favorite are the peanut, or not the peanut butter and the caramel ones.
Okay, the peanut butter ones are some of the best.
And
Yeah, no, those
I
are
also
pretty
like
good.
just your regular roasted mixed nuts. Those are
True.
I love those.
True. Chips and salsa is always a good option.
So I was going. What
Yeah,
I
you
actually
should have that.
generally,
Wow, yeah.
what I generally enjoy quite a bit of, which I have not gotten a very long time, have a lot of at work though, is literally like actual like carrots that have been sliced into chip sizes with a little bit of sour cream and onion dip. So good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, a lot healthier than most people might expect, except for the fact that carrots do have quite a bit of sugar in them.
They do have a lot
People
of
don't
sugar.
realize that. And fun fact, they're not exactly 100% good for your eyes, actually. It's actually an old lie.
That's actually a British lie. They just invented radar and didn't want to tell anybody, so they just said
They eat a lot of carrots. Helps their
because
eyes.
carrots have a lot of beta carotene. Your eyes need a bunch of it. However,
They
you
have
eat
a
a
lot
fistful of it, it's not going to change your eyesight the fucking least bit.
No.
But if you eat enough of them, it could turn your skin orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, apparently, according to my parents, I did that when I was young. My mom
I could see
freaking
that.
out, apparently.
I could see that.
It's like, I was really young, but I don't remember doing this. But
All right. We got another pretty good
But then
question.
again, I mean, really, anything that you prefer to munch on, I'd have to say the only bad thing to have at a D&D table is anything that either you or somebody else at the table is deathly allergic to.
Yeah,
That's really about it.
that's honestly, don't do that, guys. That's kind of like messed up.
But I've yet to hear a story about how it's like, oh yeah, my favorite snack is peanuts, and the person next to me had a peanut allergy.
Or someone has a peanut allergy and you mix M&Ms with peanut M&Ms. Don't
Yeah, which
don't
by
be
the way,
that guy.
that is just a sign that somebody is purely fucking chaos.
Even
It's
I
just
have.
grabbing 14 different types of M&Ms and throwing them all into the same fucking bowl.
This bothers somebody for some reason.
So every single M&M you have no idea what the hell you're gonna get.
Surprise! That's what I like about it. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, just make sure
Like, what is this one? Oh, it's a
make
Christmas
sure
one.
that if you do something like this, the people at your table don't have any allergies,
Yeah.
because that can
nobody's
go
had any
so bad.
allergies. It's just why? Why do you have to mix them like that?
Because it's fun.
It is kind of
Why
nice.
can't
It's
you
like,
just have
what is
like
this
a
one?
little section tray? And it's like, oh, okay, we got one type in here and one type in there.
I do kind of,
It
I do have to kind of slightly
Fucking
agree with Tom on
chaos
this one.
mess.
Sometimes you want a very specific type of M&M. You go to
The
grab
mint ones
something.
are also very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to go for a mint and suddenly you have a pretzel and it's like, I don't want this. Why is this a thing?
Okay.
So, but yeah, I kind of agree with
thought
them at
it
the
was
same
fun
time,
with
though.
the variety. What
Having
is
a
this
little
one?
bit of surprise is nice.
Oh, it's almond. Okay, cool.
Oh, and our next question is actually a pretty interesting one. What is your favorite version of D&D or your favorite tabletop system that you like to use?
Let you start with that one.
Yeah, you probably got the most complicated answer.
Yeah. Take
So-
up the last 30 minutes of the...
I initially started off with Pathfinder. A lot of fun, great system. If I were to say one of my favorites, definitely high up there, but it's probably a close tie between Pathfinder and Shadowrun, surprisingly. So,
We got a lot of fun with Shadow.
Shadowrun's a really fun system. If you've never played it before, highly recommend checking it out. Just expect to be rolling way more dice than you probably used to, because it is
Shadowrun, you need a lot of D6s.
it's a D6 system, and with the newest edition, Sixth World, it's great. The whole lore that's tied in together with all the other previous editions is really awesome. The problem with 6th edition, however, is that it kind of expects you to have already played previous editions in order to understand how to play the current edition. And they did change a couple of things, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you've not played Pathfinder, it's definitely another really unique system as well. Very different from D&D, but not quite not quite as different. There are a lot of similar elements.
Well, yeah, Pathfinder was made from an offshoot of D&D developers.
3.5 basically.
Well, yeah. They wanted to go a certain route with 3.5 that Wizards of the Coast did not want to do, so they made Pathfinder.
Yeah. D&D, though, is a lot of fun. There's definitely a lot more things that you can do with Pathfinder that you can't with D&D, but that goes vice versa. There's a lot you can do with D&D that you can't do with other systems as well. For instance, Starfinder, basically D&D but in space. Whole new system entirely, but a lot of what you can do there, you can literally pull from it and move it into D&D.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the main reasons why we use D&D, is because it's one of those systems that's really easy to pull from other systems to adapt into the 5e system.
I guess you're right. That would be the major advantage of D&D, is if you have familiarity with other systems, you can easily kind of like, okay, I want that in this D&D game, where you can more easily pull it from another system into D&D than you can pull something from D&D into another system.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but sometimes for sure.
I mean, before that one book was released that involved like naval combat and stuff, any naval combat involved within my campaign was actually ripped from naval combat you get from Pathfinder, because it's just very simple, very easy to work with.
Yeah.
A lot of like the magical weapons and stuff, not all of it is actually from D&D. some of the ones you have used, I've ripped from other systems.
Yeah.
It's really easy to adapt to, honestly. Probably one of the best ones to start off with would be 5e. It's a very simple, very easy to learn, really fun system to get into. And there's so many different starting books to go out there with. The 3 books I would honestly recommend starting with that are probably the easiest ones to work with, of course, are going to be the starter set. Comes with Fandelver. You can also always start off with the Dragon Heist. Honestly, probably one of the best ones to start with, because it's not only great for a starter book for DMs to start learning on, but it's also a great way in that it teaches your players how the game works as you play it. Kind of want to avoid Avarice a little bit. Descent into Avarice. That is one of the most difficult ones to run, but if you actually experience, it can be a lot of fun, and it's great if you want to get into really high-level gameplay. But that's my personal favorite, too, is those 3 systems. Pathfinder, Shadowrun, and 5e.
What you got there, Tom?
Oh.
You know a little bit of, Pathfinder 3.5 and 5, right?
When we first started, we were on 3.5.
Yep.
There's a little bit of Pathfinder in there from what I was told,
Yeah,
but I don't really know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm one of the 5e boys.
Yeah.
Our first rodeo into 5e.
Oh, that was tough.
That was not easy for me. Because
Jeez,
everything that we were doing from the Call of Cthulhu was very similar to 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So going from one to the other,
Call of Cthulhu we used was based off of the D20 system.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we're going to go play a game with a couple of friends. You want to come with? It's like, sure. By the way, we're using 5e. It's like, what's that? Dude, that first character, that cleric that I only played a couple of levels of.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta tell you, I was working on my character to the last possible minute, and I was writing my character sheet in one hand, and I had my phone texting, "I'm not going to make it," in the other, and let's see which one we get done first. That is how close it came. But then eventually, just this light bulb went off sometime. I don't even know when. And
yeah, with 5e, you can almost make a character without looking at anything, right?
Yeah. If you already know all of what race you want to play, what class you want to pick, what background, and you don't have to do any of the reading, you can throw together a character in minutes, seconds, even on D&D Beyond. They've made it so super simple.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one thing
that's
one thing we haven't done in a while was the random character generator.
Yeah, no. Let's say, for instance, you want to get into it.
Although we came up with a couple of ones that made you kind of bad.
Yeah. Oh, the Minotaur Bard that's a coward, but is also a warrior.
Yeah, the Minotaur Bard, Paladin, Coward, Warrior. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no. So let's say you want to get into it, but you're not exactly sure how to create a character. 5e is honestly one of the easiest systems to learn when it comes down to making a character. It seems daunting at first, but it's extremely simple, and there's a lot of tools out there that'll help you out. Matter of fact, as they just mentioned, D&D Beyond has systems in place that basically helps you put together a character, and you, at the click of a button, you can instantly have something ready to go.
Yeah.
Really, the hardest part of putting together a character now is trying to nail down what you want to play.
Yeah.
What kind of concept do you want your character to have? Do you just want to hit the random button and just play whatever the fuck comes up?
Yeah, honestly.
That's the hardest part now. I've gotten to the point with character creation that as soon as somebody mentions they might be running something, trying not to come up with a character on the spot before knowing anything about the campaign is actually really fucking difficult.
Yeah, no, you set yourself up for that one.
Make all the characters you want.
I have,
Trust me, I have. You should see my account.
Dude, I have 50 on standby just for your game.
Just don't expect that character to necessarily be available.
Yeah, I've created just to see how it looks on paper. Just
I
some of the
legitimately
most
actually
bonkers
have
shit I can
50
come
on
up
standby too, actually.
with. And yet, even though I have all these characters just waiting in the wings, every single time, hey, you want to jump into a campaign? Sure. Brand new character, never done anything like that before. That's just how it goes for me.
But it's also great to have, if you want to be a DM, having the knowledge of putting together characters quickly is great to do, because it also helps you put together NPCs or unique, rememberable characters that people will never forget if you do it right. You can have, like, the coolest looking, like, on paper designed character, have really great art for it, and it'll flop. Or you can do something that's completely asinine, and it just works so well that it just sticks in your players' minds, and they'll never forget.
Yeah.
And those are honestly some of the best moments when it comes to tabletops.
So, I love D&D 5e. This is what we play. This is what I play. This is what I run for most of the time.
With this.
But
Oh, yeah.
I have to go back to my birthplace. Years and years and years ago, before I even think this one was even a thought in his mother's mind, I was introduced to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition. It's just so much. It's just near and dear to my heart. As ridiculous as that system is, I would love to get these guys to teach these guys how to play that game and have them play D&D with that rule set. It's a totally different experience. But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite altogether. Of course, I love D&D, even 5th edition and 3.5. Never played 4, never touched it. Probably never will want to.
Oh, speaking of which,
we won't speak bad about anything, but let's just leave it at that.
Well,
but also one of my other most favorite systems to play under is Palladium. So that's the group that does Rifts and Shadowrun and Robotech and Heroes and Villains, Ninjas and Super Spies. They even have a TMT expansion. It's a lot of fun. For one of my buddies who would run the Palladium games, I have a couple characters that I literally randomly created. Okay, because that's what I want to do. We were playing Heroes. So I randomly created two heroes. The first one, I randomly created Spider-Man. Like, literally everything that I could roll, or every point that had a decision, I assigned a dice number for it, and rolled that dice, and created Spider-Man. Except he wasn't a teenager in high school or in college doing paparazzi stuff. He was a pizza delivery guy.
Pizza time.
And the other one was Night Stalker. Randomly created freaking Night Stalker. I forget what his profession was, but that was the only other difference. He was something other than what was his name? Victor?
I forget his name, actually.
Legitimately do not remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember what Night Stalker's actual human name is. But yeah, Brandon the Great Night Stalker was freaking amazing. Like especially with the Spider-Man, like I'm going through and reading off what he's doing and getting to understand. It's like, this is fucking Spider-Man. and then the next side, this is Night Stalker. All right, cool. So yeah. But yeah, and also a game that I've always wanted to get into, and I bought a bunch of their books but never did it, was GURPS. Generic universal role-playing system. Always wanted to try it, but never got anyone to run the game for me, or never any players interested enough to give it a try. So that's what I got for that.
Well, kind of like a reverse of this question, what's your least favorite system?
Least favorite system? Shit.
Oh God!
I'll tell you right now, 4E.
Never played it, so I can't answer that.
Holy shit, the amount of math you need to do is insane.
Yeah. I think I honestly have to play, like, say the original Star Wars RPG, tabletop RPG. That is just nuts. Like, you can't just have a bunch of 6-sided dice to play it. Like, just a bunch, like a handful. You have to have entire bags full of microscopic 6-sided dice to play that game. It's insane, but fun. So, you got an answer on that one there?
I gotta say I really don't though, because we've only run a couple of systems, and none of them have been bad.
Like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, because we got one that was running, the Aliens one that was running off of a bunch of D6s.
Yeah. That was a fun one.
That was a lot. We had so much fun with that one.
I had a panic attack. An actual panic attack playing that one.
Yeah.
It's one of the most stressful things. Man.
Back when we started Call of Cthulhu in 3.5, I had a lot of fun with that. I played Doomtree forever.
Yep.
Treant Druid.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, and then 5e, Shadowrun. I'd go back to all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I've come across one that is just like, no.
Okay. So here's one for you guys.
Okay.
Give us a short story of your favorite gaming event, and I'm gonna put that one first on Manny.
Gaming? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Like your favorite event in any type of TTRPG.
I know one.
That you can share with us. Doesn't have to be one that you've already shared with us as a group, but it can.
This one's a bit of a tie between two events.
Okay.
One is within Kelly's game. This is long before I met any of you except for Kelly. I was playing a Knoll Ranger that had a Lucerne hammer that was a dragon hunter. And we had to try and stop a boar, hunt a boar, because we were out, and this is during we were playing what was it? Like, I think it was Rise of the Runekeepers or something like that. Or Rise of the Rune Lords. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but couldn't kill the boar. But because the way Pathfinder works, you could have a stupidly powerful, as in strength terms, character, depending on what races you pick, and Gnolls are notoriously strong as shit in Pathfinder. And this boar was basically bigger than Gartosh was, and he was like a 8-foot tall Gnoll. Pick this thing up.
That's not normal boar then. That's something other than a boar. That's like a monster.
It was a big boar.
You say boar, I'm thinking like,
picked this thing up,
size, Sophie size.
Picked this thing up, walked over with it in his hands, and slammed it down into a pitfall trap because it was about to fuck up the team.
Alrighty.
Second favorite moment? Hi, how are you? Boom!
Well, tell the story.
So I was joining up. I was in my campaign initially already ready to go. Found out Nate was running a game. I was like, hey, I'd like to join in. He was like, sure, why not? Let's throw together a character. I made a character that literally lived to say 5 words and died in the very same session I joined in a matter of, like, seconds. This is the shortest lived character I have ever made. Literally only got out 5 words and instantly obliterated to beyond
You snuck
repair.
up on a force of nature, man.
Okay, so more details in the story is I was playing a kobold
Cleric?
a wild kobold cleric trickster god of the trickster god. And
Everybody's favorite little couple.
The Traveler, I believe.
The Traveler, yeah. This character's name is Kupo, which is funny. Totally just an absolute raw force of anarchy.
Keep in mind, I don't know anything about the characters at the time.
Yeah.
Nothing is mentioned to me. Nothing is said to me. I don't know what classes anyone's playing. I don't know what races anyone's playing. I'm just putting something together. Let's have some fun with this.
Yeah.
I made something that's like a jovial, jolly little halflings going on an adventure. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go and travel and see what's out there. Let's go ahead and explore the Underdark.
Yeah.
Comes across a kobold.
And Kupo is very untrusting for everybody that she doesn't
poor
know
bastard.
yet for a while. And they were in the middle of a combat. And so I bring Manny's character in because we're in the middle of combat, why not? Kind of thing. He was just wandering. They're shortly outside of the nearest civilization in the Underdark. So it's like I just brought him in. He sees what's going on.
We gotta call it
wants to go to help. He says, "Hey, hi, are you?" And of course, this super untrusting kobold turns around and is like, "What the fuck?" and stabs and guts this guy.
It was a guiding bolt.
Guiding bolt.
It was a max level at the time guiding bolt.
And Mai has this uncanny ability to roll the absolute max sometimes.
She's rolled multiple natural 20s in a row. We have tested her dice. They are legit.
They're just fine.
She's just extremely lucky. Sometimes she has some bad luck, but usually it's really rare for her to ever roll like below a 15, basically.
Yeah. So
the anti-Will Wheaton.
She absolutely maxed out all possible rolls for that and killed that third level.
He was second level at the time.
Yeah, halfling in like one shot, and it's like, well, that was weird. All right, I guess you have to make a new character there, buddy.
And thus I created Argo, the greatest pain in the ass to this DM over here ever. a wildfire sorcerer that just nothing but AoE in the Underdark. Yeah. You see where this is going.
I think you're more of a pain in the ass to some of the players than they are to me. But
Yeah,
He's getting bad.
If you blow up the players, that's not my fault.
Yeah,
that's your fault.
To be fair, Argo's a bit of an asshole, but he's also literally an actual child that doesn't know any better. But as the campaign progressed, he started to learn a little bit more, a little bit smarter with his decisions.
Tom, you seemed very happy and excited about this question.
Yep.
Okay.
Again, I have two. One of the first ones is that campaign that I've got that Wizard Tortle Gar. And in this campaign, he has a best friend. Little foxkin by the name of Zen.
Oh, God.
And I see that smile on your face, bud. You know exactly where I'm fucking going with this.
Our AV guy over there, shit-eating grin.
Oh, yeah. He somehow comes across this fucking box.
Oh, the box.
Yeah, the box. And it has a magic void in it. And so my character, being very studied in the arcane, is trying to explain to his fussy little friend, and it's just not working. So trying to explain that you do anything magical into this void, it's just not there. He interprets it as, oh, so there's nothing in the box. It's not quite it. And I'm trying everything, and he's playing his character to the T.
Really good role play.
And
actually.
the role play on it was just fucking miraculous. Trying to get that point across of, no, this is a kind of a major problem. This is potentially a world-ending problem. But you just said there's nothing in the box! It's just that back and forth between the two of us was just absolutely wonderful. It's also the same campaign that brought us the wonderful, never forgetting this phrase of, I'm gonna smite the door.
Yes.
But then one of my other ones, I didn't think this was going to happen at the time, and I've apologized for this countless times now.
What?
Through a random series of events, this is in one of Nathan's games.
Okay.
Everybody was either rolling a 1 or 20, so the swing is just all over the fucking place.
There was no in between.
No, nothing. Not even remotely fucking close. Everybody either passed or failed miraculously. In the most stupendous of fashion, and all of a sudden we get our cart stuck in a ditch, and in trying to get it out, we knock over a tree.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And at this point, you've probably seen how the three of us are interacting and how we've interacted on the stream campaign. We love to give each other shit.
Oh, yeah.
And as it turns out, it was our DM's turn. And he just gives the biggest middle finger possible to somebody. And just says, okay, the tree you guys just knocked down is a treant. Your treant. So now all of a sudden I've got to, on the fly, 0 prep, 0 warning, so all of a sudden play 2 characters at the same time. Who could not be fucking any more different at all. It's like the fact that they even spoke a fucking common language is fucking miracle. And the only thing that I can think of is fuck you. Why would you do this to somebody? I've thrown every swear word in every combination that I could. And you know what? It was one of the best fucking things ever. I grew as a player. I've apologized for it. Would have probably been a little more fun had I known it was coming, but whatever. It got me to realize how many of my characters were identical. It's just one might have been like a little bit more of a rock star, Xanric. And one was a bit more of a bookworm.
Or thinks he's more of a rock star.
Huh?
Or thinks he's more of a rock star.
Xanric is a rock
Which is all
star.
that matters for bards. They just need to think they are.
What do you mean think? Xanric is the rock star.
2 different deities. He is a bona fide fucking rock star.
Xanric is not thinking of. No, he is the rock star.
The fact that I actually got you up out of the chair with that character.
Yeah.
It was fucking fantastic. Side tangent again. Got him out of the chair, actually up, walking around, doing all these hand gestures. It was fucking wonderful. But yeah, he just,
your power slide finish.
Yes. A rock star with spells is just a wonderful combination. But yeah, I have this. Oh, what the fuck was he? Because we only played him for a little bit. A Goliath rogue.
I don't remember. I don't think I was.
Oh,
here for this
Gorbar?
one.
No,
that's not Gorbar.
No, that's not Gorbar. Gorbar's human.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Gorbar was the one I wanted you to make a certain level character because I was going to give you guys the choice at the time to stay there as your low level characters to help the town, or leave to get help for the town as the low level characters, and either one.
Yeah, in my Goliath rogue investigator.
Yeah, I think so.
I was trying to play more like Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
A Goliath Sherlock, which is awesome. But yeah, trying to play basically a Sherlock Holmes character and a treant druid who's basically a burnout hippie.
Oh yeah,
who became, in the main campaign that he was from, basically became the de facto bartender of the group. Totally not planned, but it's just what happens. No, anybody who's just getting into D&D, the one thing that you need to understand: your character is not going to be 100% the way you think they're going to be before the campaign starts.
This is
granted
so
with
true.
Doomtree, and I mean he started out in 3.5, and then eventually like Elements of Shadowrun became on top of that, and then we ported them over to 5e, and at every single point in time, in every single iteration, he was always 100% what I wanted him to be. Except there's story elements that happened that's just like, I never thought he would go there. So,
yeah.
Never thought he'd be sleeping in a forest for like 1,000 fucking years, getting knocked over and waken up by some group of, well, dickheads, really, trying to get their cart unstuck. But yeah, that time just having to play 2 characters was a fucking riot, and I would totally do it again in a heartbeat.
I think that was Kelly that brought it. I was like, what are the chances if that was Doom? She was like, that's funny. Yeah, let's see if this can happen.
Yeah, but I gotta say, it's like, dude, I'd do it again. With any 2 of my random fucking characters, I would do it again.
Next on the stream, Tom playing with himself.
I don't want to relive
There's a
that
better
one,
way
buddy.
to phrase
There's
that.
so much wrong with that phrase.
Because we may not get the audience we want with that. And I'm pretty sure anybody who's willing to tune in for that, I don't want that audience.
Just had to make it uncomfortable.
You already did that one.
Now, this should be interesting. Because you've been playing longer than both of us, and you've DM'd.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few. I got quite a few stories. So I'll start out with my oldest one that I think is most fun. This is way back in my first days playing this Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. I was playing a character kit at the time called an Elven Collector. Their basic thing is that they go around and they collect magical stuff. They literally steal it because anybody else that's else that's not an elf using magical stuff is doing it wrong. So, and he had ended up getting in cahoots with a party, which the whole party just grew and shrank as people were able to play and not able to play, kind of thing. And it ends up basically, it was at the time it was just myself and one other player and the DM running this adventure, and we had gotten into a situation where we're in this big, typical, like rogue city kind of thing, floating in the sky. It was the red light district everywhere you go, kind of thing. And we had ended up in a tavern of some sorts that had a fighting pit for blood sport, entertainment kind of thing. And the DM had taken a book out of the page of Gladiator and Star Wars and stuff like that, where the thing to fight was a big monster kind of thing. So I think he called it a gray renderer was the creature that was in the pit. And before then, we had actually encountered this thing, and we know the way to defeat it is with electricity, or at least that's how we defeat the one that we encountered. So me and my buddy were coming up with some type of crazy ass plan to try to get, because it's supposed to be one-on-one combat.
Yeah, you
can use the stuff that you bring into the pit, but you can't bring stuff. You can't after the fight has started. You can't get more stuff. So we go ahead and decide to put this my buddy who is playing a fucking high ass level rogue. So rogues do damage. So that was the point. So his job was essentially to run around in this pit and occupy this thing. While my character, who is at that point a high level wizard, can sneak in, following in the thief, so it looks like it's a one-on-one combat kind of thing. So with 2nd edition, greater invisibility is you're allowed to actually invisibly last for like an hour, I think it was, and you're actually allowed to cast spells and attack with it without becoming uninvisible or without becoming visible. So that was my shtick. I was actually doing the damage, and the thief was doing the show.
Interesting twist.
So, and my friend's character was a small, little, lanky guy, just this wiry little guy. Think of what's his name, Pitt's character from Snatch. So really, like, against this, giant sized monster, like, no one bet on him whatsoever. Every bet was against the thief. But we ended up defeating the thing. And the owner of the tavern didn't have the money to pay us our debt. So we ended up owning this tavern. Plus getting like millions of gold.
It's pretty great, actually.
So we left him a place to run the business, and we just paid him like 25% of the profits. The rest were ours. So that was one story. Let's see. Another shorter story is I was playing a Dwarven Cleric. Again, also second edition. Yeah, okay.
You're back.
This is the Dwarven Hearth Guard, I think is what it's called. So basically his ability is to become this immovable force. And we were under a barrage attack of an entire fucking army.
Oh.
Against like the four of us.
Well, at least it's a fair fight.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't actually taking on the army. We were just there in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we were the target. So, my cleric, being the chaotic good, neutral good, lawful good, I forget what his alignment was, but he couldn't, and also being the Hearthguard, he had to protect his fellows. So while they were ducking into, I think it was an airship that we were getting into, he was being as big as he could to be the guard to protect his fellows as they were boarding the ship. And he ended up being a pincushion.
Shock.
Literally, hundreds of arrows. So he's dead. And
this is where that one.
Yes. I've told you this one before. So after everybody gets in, the wizard character drags my character's bloody meat sack into the ship with him, and realizes he's dead. So he takes his toe. Because he had this spell available to him called, I think it was Clone. So he basically cloned my character. I didn't have to make a new character. And my character being a dwarf and his character being an elf, after he woke up out of this barrel 9 months later, not knowing what the fuck's going on, he finds his friends. His friend's like, "Oh, there you are!" And he said the word "toe" in Elven. Well, my character never learned Elven because they had a common language, so he didn't have to learn Elven. And so he just thought it was a friendly pet nickname for him. Until later on, he ended up learning Elven and realized that he was being called Toe by his friend. And he realized why he was given that name, and it was just another thing. That was a fun story. I've got lots of them. I'll share one with that involves our DM. Sure, two of them that involves our DM. One of them was she was playing under my game, and she wanted to do a prayer, I think it was, to her deity about trying to find out more of this place. So I was like, okay, sure, that can work. Do it. No like skill, like actual character ability to do it. Just go ahead and do a religion and a performance. Well, she got a natural 20 on both the religion and the performance.
Shock.
So it's like, okay. So we were using Roll 20 at the time, and I had that up as a map for what everybody knew about for the place, because they had the what's it called, combat haze, basically, where you can't see it unless you've been there already, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That I would remove as they would go. It's like, okay, well, here's more about the place. I remove
Fog of War.
Yeah. I remove all the fog of war for the map, and then I have this fun thing. You're given this vision of, I think it was 6 people that had it. 6 people looking around.
Oh God, I remember this.
At a map that's glowing with bright colors and everything, and you see this vision. Poof. And I removed the fog of war for her. And it's like, so they now have basically a map of the building that they were in. So that I had to give her something for rolling 2 20s in a row. I was like, okay. And another one was playing for it was a Ghostbusters one.
Is this the one with the that we did recently?
No.
Oh,
This is that one.
This is that one.
I don't think I was here for this one.
You weren't here for that one.
I may have something to add into the tail end of this.
Yeah,
so
we can go for that. So basically, we were playing a Ghostbusters crew stuck in a fucking middle of the blizzard and out of gas. And jokingly, I said, is there a way to maybe power this thing using the proton packs? And somehow we ended up going with that. So I think I rolled a critical failure on like science or something, and like, yes, this can totally be done, and explaining why this can be done. But I rolled a natural 20, a critical success on convincing that my idiocy was correct.
Again, this is another one of those. Because I was there for that.
So
fucking right.
I convinced my players that we're going to. I convinced my fellows that we're going to do this. We can power the Ecto one, or the Ecto, I forget which one it was, with a proton pack. It totally can fucking work. And we're rolling natural 20s on the stupidest things. Like the DM will tell you, you can certainly try. Well, we tried and figured it out.
I wasn't here for this one, but I remember you telling the story about this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's amazing.
So we got our little Ecto running off of a proton pack, fucking up all of reality.
Oh no, because like actually getting the Ecto 1, we made all of the checks necessary to actually get it accomplished. And then we failed every single fucking check on how to drive the thing.
Oh yeah. That was
so we wound up in some space-time area that might have been between all of them. And in trying to get back to our world, we wound up destroying all other realities.
Yep.
It was marvelous.
Yeah, don't cross the screen. Don't cross the streams unless you want to fuck up a world.
Yep. Now, see, I think this is an appropriate story to end on, because it was that night decisions were made.
Yeah.
Because for like 2 or 3 months, I was kind of kicking around the idea of starting either like a YouTube channel or a podcast or something.
You're
like
right.
That.
Yeah.
But I could never. Every idea that I came up with, it's like, yeah, I kind of need to know a little bit more about that subject in order to actually start talking on it. And being one of my best friends, and so is Nate, I was talking to them about it. And then after that fateful night where we destroyed all realities, we began the steps to start this
craziness.
This
filming out
is
of our
the end
room.
result. In destroying all of those other realities, we created this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think, wasn't it also Kelly that brought up, like, I wish we were filming this.
Yeah, I think she made that comment, and then my turns to me, it's like, this would make a great podcast.
Oh yeah, it was.
And
it
then,
was
like,
so
shortly
insane.
after that, all the bonkers shit happened. We really should have been recording that.
A bit of time later, and dun dun, here we are now.
Yeah, and then the three of us go to lunch and actually have a serious conversation about what if we actually started.
What do we need? How can we pull this off?
Who do we bring in?
Yeah.
And then it's just one more after another. It's like, hey, let's talk to that person. They know we need something for this. We need somebody who knows that stuff. It's like, we've got all the people in place, so
yeah,
that's how it all started.
How many years in the making was this? I know you three came up with this a while ago.
God.
Probably 3 or 4 years though.
No, I don't think it was that long. I think it's been over a year. I know that, before we actually got our first episode.
Well, but before we started thinking about it, actually, it's been about 3 or 4 years where it was something we could do maybe if we can figure out what we need to do and how to do it.
Yeah,
and then
it was slow going at first.
Yeah. I know it was 2 years in when Maya approached me about joining up.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point in time, we had already been talking about it for a little while.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I know you've been working on this for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, that bonkers, insane Ghostbusters trip.
Yeah, so
that
was probably the most fun one.
Oh, dude, everybody was fucking cracking up.
Oh God, my sides hurt so much.
I'm pretty sure a few tears left my eyes.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think, was crying.
Had such a headache from laughing so hard too. Oh my God, I never laughed.
But of all the reasons to get a headache,
laughter.
That's got to be the best one.
Yeah,
there is.
One of the best, at least.
So
we have actually ran out of the curated questions.
Yeah, the curated and already selected questions. Yeah. We haven't seen a lot of interactivity. We're small. Hopefully we can get growing and we can do a much bigger, badder, nastier version of this sometime in the near future.
Maybe leave out that last part. Maybe get too nasty.
You got any questions for us?
Where do you think our characters are going to go?
I don't think anyone knows. That's a question that honestly, anyone out there who's never played D&D before, if you think you have an idea for a character and you have an idea of where they're going to go, trust me, it's not going to go the way you think.
How long did we have to beat that into his head?
It took a while. D&D's a whole different beast from other tabletop systems, and this goes both ways for both players and DMs. If you're barely starting out as a DM,
expect that everything you plan won't happen.
Yeah, you could sit down and spend hours upon hours, days upon days, writing the greatest story ever, and do everything within your power to make it so that way it's as extremely as interesting as possible. And your players will be like, ooh, but that's shiny over there. And they go and do something entirely different.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do that.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Because Manny here came up with this beautiful story about his world and what he wants us to do. And it's like, we totally didn't do that with
Basically, I did two different things. I created an actual world with no story behind it other than just things they could discover on their own. And I created a setting where it's kind of like already preset, so it's like, all right, this is going to go one of two ways. They're going to follow this path, or it's going to be total chaos. And it turned out to be total chaos.
You're welcome.
And I love every second of it.
So one thing I wanted to bring up is we like we mentioned earlier, we do have other things in the works. So anything that we're going to say right now is not going to cannot be taken as official. It's been only stuff that has been brought up and talked about. So we will be doing, we're looking at possibly doing some type of like a story time session where basically we come up with one of our stories like we just shared, but go into total detail instead of it being more of just like
an anecdote.
We're actually going to like tell the story as if we were reading a storybook to someone. So
Yeah.
it'd be more curated and more
A bit more
polished, and yeah. So we're looking at something like that.
One of the potential ideas was sitting down and helping people like figure out like, hey, making unique characters without taking it too far.
Yeah.
How to make a very powerful character without being metagamey. How to balance things. How to make things more interesting.
Yeah, like player guide,
Yeah.
game guide kind of stuff.
Of course, if there's anything that you want us to do,
Yeah, definitely.
Suggestion.
throw the idea out there.
If you can think of something that you don't see on the internet
Yeah.
that you want to see, that you think we could probably fill out for
If you think we're crazy enough to do it,
definitely bring it up. We'll definitely listen to it at least.
We'll certainly try.
We're also looking at doing some type of live video gaming streaming.
Possibility.
One of the reasons why Mai isn't with us today is because she had a opportunity to be one of the world's first in a Destiny 2 event. So that's why one of the reasons why we had to come up with something for today. So she's looking at possibly doing some streaming for the games that she plays. I mean, she's insane. Let's put it this way. Some of you may know of the game called Mass Effect, the video game Mass Effect, especially for, I think it was the third one.
Oh yeah, the third one was
where he had the multiplayer kind of arena thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this crazy lady decides to create a Volos character for the multiplayer game. And that's a little round, like, kind of useless, kind of like weird, like, I guess my closest approximation to other media entertainment would be like the Ferengis from Star Trek. Mm-hmm. They're all about acquisition and capitalism and stuff and profit like that. So they're by no means, shape, or form a thought would ever come to your mind that there are warriors. She's scary. She created this Volos character and finished the hardest multiplayer arena as a Volos, and it was just insane. So she's really good at some of these first-person shooter games. So I'm pretty sure some of you would find her skill level for some of these like absolutely mind-boggling. I am a large Minecraft fan, so I have been putting a lot of work into doing a couple Minecraft streams and VODs, I guess, video on demand podcasts. Let's play kind of stuff for Minecraft. Got lots of fun ideas in there. Don't know quite what my first one's going to be, but I'll be doing something like that soon. Tom had some fun ideas about stuff you wanted to do.
There's a movie podcast that I was thinking about coming up with.
What was exactly your thought there?
It was like
talking about movies.
Yeah. Just talking about movies?
Yeah. Me and whoever I can get on there.
Oh, you already know I'm there.
Yeah. Would just, because as stated earlier, head full of pop culture. Movies have always been something I've derived great joy and spent many hours watching, and big source of inspiration for D&D. So doing a little something to kind of pay that back, I think would be kind of fun.
Your head full of pop culture for movies and stuff like that. Would you be able to do the dialogue of a movie?
Oh God!
I'm pretty sure there's like a movie or two that word for word.
Like you almost know word for word.
Funny you bring that up. There was a point in time where there was a certain movie that was banned from the house. Growing up, again, even back when I was a kid, movies, loved them. So did some of my family. One of my father, my sister, and I, one of our favorite movies was Mel Brooks' classic Spaceballs.
Oh, fuck yeah.
One of the greatest comedy movies ever made.
Near and dear to my heart because we'd hardly ever have to watch it at any point in time, because when one of us, either my sister, my father, or I, would get the idea of, oh, this is an appropriate time to quote the movie, then one of us would jump in with the next quote, and we just keep going back and forth, quoting the whole thing, driving my poor mother absolutely crazy, to the point where the only sane option left for her was to just ban it outright from the house.
So that would be fun. That would be fun for you. Fun for me to see you do all the dialogue for a movie. We're just watching
we gotta
the movie.
have a little
You're
box.
doing the dialogue.
Me just quote. Oh no!
So
that'd be
something
terrible.
a little bit better to make it even greater. Have a little box, some tiny little mock-up costumes. So you can do the whole movie as you.
No, because there's some movies that are just too wonderful.
Yeah.
And for me to do that would just ruin
Yeah.
near perfect movies.
Yeah, no, you do have.
Any other thoughts on things that you would like to see us do, Tom?
Oh. I mean, that really gives us a license to kind of really do anything. So, again, if you have any suggestions, just shout them out.
Yeah, please.
So, yeah. I mean, there is another thing as well. It's by no means a guarantee. There are actually multiple DMs that do play in Maya's game, and there is a possibility you may be able to possibly see what our DM styles are like.
Yeah.
Nate has amazing storytelling. I happen to have an entire campaign setting that I've sat down and written out entire things of over the course of many years, but don't do anything with other than just hey, here's this, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, that
other games and
that's
stuff
one
we're
thing
definitely
is,
looking at.
even though we've
streaming,
kind of always got the same group, not always the same DM.
Yeah,
this is true.
And it gives you, and each game's different.
Yeah.
Just because you think two people are swapping, and now the DM is now the player's now the DM, it's entirely different, and it's kind of fantastic to see.
Oh yeah, you'll notice this as well when you get into any type of tabletop game. Not every DM's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some out there that strive to be perfect every single time, but that's just impossible. It will never happen. But because there's a little bit of that variety, it can be very interesting sometimes. There's some really crazy things that happened in Mai's game. There's some crazy things that happened in Nate's game. There's some insane things that happened in my game. I'm pretty sure if Tom were to give it a try, there'd be some pretty crazy stuff that would happen there too.
There might not be any survivors because of my affection for dad jokes.
I can see it now. The BBEGs on that is
a whole world full of bad dad joke makers.
And the BBEG is just a master, a complete master bard. Just chaotic, evil bard that's a beholder. Instead of a disintegration ray, it's
just
ray of
spotlight.
laughing
if you
of
can
death.
come up with a good joke, you'll live. But if it's terrible, done.
Dead. Okay, so anything else you want to bring on to the screen there, Tom?
Anything that we just brought up, so I'll just kind of spitballing. We've got stuff in the works, but yeah.
How about you there?
Manuel? Well, I do like to make a lot of really unorthodox characters, and some of them can be very busted sometimes. A lot of them tend to be balanced. One of the things that I would definitely like to try and do at some point is, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is how to make characters powerful within reason without breaking the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to do that. But another one is, you probably don't know this. I know he does, and I know Mai does. You probably don't. I play a shit ton of Elder Scrolls. I have played the ever-living hell out of Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3, to the point to where there are some actual bosses I have memorized the patterns of and actually can do blindfolded. But it is actually a possible thing that we could also do some stream stuff with that as well, but make it so that way the audience would be more interactive with it, such as creating the character or involved in all that. That would be a lot of fun
Oh,
because
okay, I see what you're saying.
it would provide not only an entertaining thing to watch, but quite a challenge as well.
And you like get the audience to help me or make the decisions
Yeah.
for you in a video game. That'd be kind of interesting.
But yeah.
Especially with games like Mass Effect where you have the Paragon and the Renegade kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah. See what kind of crazy things your minds can come up with. Are you a Paragon or are you a Renegade? You lawful or chaotic? We'll find out, possibly. We don't know for sure. Again, all these take with a grain of salt because we really don't know what is official and what's not official yet. We're still very new to this. We are still starting up. And while the campaign we're in right now so far is amazing, there's a lot that can change. We may not survive. We don't know. There's so much that can happen.
Yep. Alrighty, so I think we've gotten to the end of this.
Yeah, I think we've rambled on for long enough.
Yep. So if we haven't bored you all to death, hope you come back.
And hey, if you love what you like to see and you enjoyed this,
Of course.
like, subscribe, share with friends, share with family. Spread the word, man. Spread the love.
We're going to say thank you
Live
for
a
joining
little.
us. We will be doing more of these on a kind of semi-regular basis. So
Yeah.
hope to see you next week. And we'll be back at the tables with everybody and having some more chaos fun with a bunch of adopted siblings.
Oh, yeah. That's right. We're all orphans.
With that, we're going to say good night. Again, thank you. Like, share, subscribe. And
Bye.
bye.
Bye.